Today, we're going to be talking about some of the funniest FNAF fan games I've ever come across. Whether they were intentionally hilarious or funny in ways the developers probably never expected, these games had me laughing from beginning to end. Some of these prove that FNAF fan games don't always have to be terrifying to be unforgettable, so let's get into it.
2D FNAF fan games, something you don't see all too often in the mainstream. A few well-known titles may come to mind. Maybe you think of Playtime with Percy, One Night at Flumpty's, or maybe Too Many Nights pops into your head. However, as of recently, I'm sure there's another very popular 2D FNAF fan game that you can think of. One that's made the rounds in my comment section so much that I can't release any video without getting asked to cover it. Five Nights at Frederick's. I was honestly expecting to not like this game, and no, it's not because it's popular. Do you ever get that feeling where you look at something and you just feel like you're not going to like it? Food is a great example. Sure, I've never tried a Brussels sprout, but I can guarantee you that I'm not going to like it. This is the feeling I had when I first looked at Five Nights at Frederick's. And oh boy, am I ever glad you guys wouldn't shut up about it. Because it has easily become one of my favorite FNAF games of all time. Sit the fuck down and listen to me, a 20-year-old, fully grown man, ramble about a game made for children once again. Five Nights at Frederick's is as simple as a FNAF game can get in terms of what is actually going on. Our character's name is Alan Fritter, and we see an ad in the newspaper. Oh great, a new job, let's apply. Frederick's doesn't try to break the mold here. However, don't let that fool you, as there still is a pretty interesting story this game has to tell. Given the fact there's not much exposition to talk about, we instead get to hop right into night one and go over to the office and look at the tools at our disposal. Our office looks very similar to the office from Five Nights at Freddy's 1. Two doors to the right and left of us, some cameras, bada bing bada boom, classic Five Nights at Freddy's. So, why does this game stand out to me and so many others then? Well, I'm glad you asked. Opening up the cameras, we will see the first main gameplay loop Frederick's has to offer. Going to the kitchen cameras, we will see that we're able to make pizzas. This will very quickly become the biggest priority in the entire game, but I'll go into more detail with it when it becomes relevant. But to keep it simple, always make sure you have a pizza cooking. When a pizza is done cooking, you will be able to hear a ding sound cue. That lets you know that you need to start making the next pizza. You'll notice that the doors in your office are replaced by lasers. This is one of the many interesting quirks this game has. Let's go over a few other fun stuff in the office. Occasionally, when you flip up the camera, some things have the chance to change in your office. For example, the main poster can change to have references to other fan games such as Five Newfangled Nights, Five Nights at Frick Bears 3, Not Bear, and Too Many Nights. I think including references to other fan games really helps pull the community together, which I really like. With that out of the way, now we can dive into the threats this night has to offer, starting with this game's Bonnie, or as this game calls him, Bernard das Karnickel. Yes, by the way, each of these characters in this game have been given a German name. If you'd like to know the reason why, tough shit, because even the dev doesn't know why he chose to do this. Bernard acts somewhat similarly to Bonnie, being the character that attacks your doors, except this time around he can attack both instead of just one. A big step up from what he usually does. Frederick's has no lights on the doors, so you'll have to look out for Bernard's fingers to be able to tell that he's there. If he is, use the lasers to shock him and he'll run away. If you don't do so fast enough, he'll step into your office and kinda just stand there, blocking the laser button and just kinda stare at you with his dopey ass face. This is also a good portion of the video to bring up how the power usage in this game works. It's obviously the same as any other game in concept. The more things you're using that waste power, the higher the usage will be, and the higher the usage meter is, the faster your power drains. You'll notice a difference in this game than in a game like Five Nights at Freddy's 1, where in FNAF 1, the moment you stop using something, the usage will instantly decrease, whereas in Frederick's, the power will decrease exponentially. However, this may also just be a visual thing, so maybe I'm just talking stupid right now. This night also introduces Chica, or as this game calls her, Clara das Kuchen. Clara is the reason why cooking the pizzas is so important. Clara will enter the kitchen. If a pizza is not cooking, she'll take charge and start cooking one herself. Except there's something really funny about that. And that's that she literally fucking sucks so bad at cooking you would not believe it. If you let Kara put her pizza into the oven, the building will very quickly start on fire. Very on par for a FNAF game, by the way. When the building is on fire, a brand new mechanic is introduced, the sprinkler system. If your building temperature reaches 120 degrees, none of the electronics in the building will work. That means no cameras and no lasers. This, of course, will result in a death, so you have to use the sprinklers to stop the fire. I honestly think that the sprinkler mechanic is the coolest addition in this entire game. Once you use the sprinklers, the monitor in your office will display how wet the building is. The higher the percentage, the longer it will take for things to activate when used. For example, once you use the sprinklers, it will shoot up to 100%. If you were to then do anything, from trying to start another pizza to using the lasers, you would have to wait around 2 seconds before they would actually activate after pushing them. This doesn't make the game impossible, and this percentage will slowly decrease back down to 0, but this is actually so fucking cool. It's something I don't think I've ever seen before. If you fail a mechanic in the game, instead of just losing, you're given the opportunity to correct yourself. However, it does come at the cost of needing you to react even faster until the wetness goes all the way back down. Yes, it does make the night stressful, but I think it's super cool and once again is my favorite mechanic in the entire game. Let me know what you guys think about it in the comments below. There are actually no post-night minigames in Friedrichs, which honestly feels weird to say since I usually spend a pretty decent amount of time in each video talking about them. But since there aren't any, I'm safe to move on to Night 2. God, this game just makes my days so much better. Night 2 introduces 2 new threats. Let's talk about the character you'll recognize more first. Foxy, or as this game calls him, Felix der whatever the fuck, I'm not gonna try to say that. Surprisingly, Felix wasn't given a Foxy-like mechanic. Instead, he almost does the opposite. Kind of. Where in FNAF 1, the more you watch Foxy, the less he moves. Felix is the opposite. The more you watch him, the more he moves. And in much the same way as Foxy. And by that, I mean you don't really have to be looking at him, but rather just have the cameras up. You see, Felix might just be a little bit of an autistic fellow. He really likes this spinning casino wheel. So much so that he will get very upset when it's not spinning. Depending on the difficulty setting, you will have a predetermined number of times that you can flip up the camera before the casino wheel stops spinning. And when it does stop spinning, Felix will haul ass to your office to politely ask you to spin it for him again. He's checking up, he's like, please, turn the wheel back on. I like it when the wheel is on. When he's in your office, he'll block the laser button, preventing you from keeping Bonnie or another character we'll mention later out. To spin the wheel, all you have to do is go back over to the camera and push the spin wheel button, where he will then sprint back out of your office to continue watching it spin. Felix and his mechanics remind me in a way of Clara, a general timer that counts down to an event that will make your run more difficult, and its fix is to just click a button on the camera. Now, you might think that because of that, I'd call this a lazy design, and while technically yes, it is pretty much the same recycled mechanic, I actually think that it makes the gameplay loop more enjoyable. Why? Well, Five Nights at Friedrichs gets you into what I like to call a flow state while you are playing. Every single mechanic in this game works together to make the entire experience feel satisfying to play. Most mechanics in this game are reaction-based, which is something I like to think I'm pretty good at. This leads to a very smooth-feeling gameplay loop where yes, it is challenging, however, you almost always feel in control and every single interaction feels solid and responsive. The other threat this night adds is the endoskeleton in the back room, or as this game calls it, Endoskelet. Endoskelet behaves exactly how Bernard does with a small twist. He too will attack either of your 2 doors, but instead of blocking the button like Bernard, Endo will butt bang your power usage and force it to stay completely full until you inevitably die. I personally think that Endo has the weakest mechanic out of this entire game. However, one thing I do appreciate about him is that at least he has the decency to make a sound cue when he arrives at your door, unlike fuck-ass Bernard. Now, you might think this game seems way too easy. You never have to check the cameras until you either A, hear a very distinct sound cue letting you know to bake a pizza, or B, if Felix runs into your office, and usually, I'd agree. Up until this moment, the game is overall pretty easy. but we have yet to introduce a character that will force us to use the cameras and probably make your butthole pucker more than just a few times. So let's move on to Night 3. Night 3 introduces the main attraction himself, Freddy. Or of course, as you already know, this game calls Friedrich Fazbear. Friedrich is bolted to the stage. So that may lead you to ask the question, how is he even a fucking threat if he can't leave the stage? Well, you see, there's actually a pretty interesting plot twist here, and that's that the game fucking lied. Friedrich is bolted to the stage, however, that doesn't prevent him from moving at all. He'll jump up to the vent on the ceiling and start pulling his way through towards your office. You'll be able to see him go through 3 distinct phases on the cameras. Once he reaches stage 3, you must use the lasers to shock him, which will then cause him to go back to the stage where he will promptly try again. What this mechanic does so well for the game is force you to look at the cameras, giving Friedrich synergy with Felix. Now, I have to be transparent here. There is a sound cue that plays whenever Friedrich enters a new phase in the camera. However, it's pretty damn quiet, and with how frequently characters will be screaming from being shocked, music playing loud as fuck in your ear, as well as a multitude of other things, it will probably be very common for you to just not hear these sound cues because of how faint they naturally are. Now, of course, if you have God hearing, then checking the cameras is literally only necessary when a pizza needs to be baked, Felix needs the wheel spun, or Friedrich needs a good shock. But I honestly feel like this mechanic really ties the whole gameplay loop together. So, what could the game possibly do to spice the gameplay up from here? Oh, for fuck's sake, the power went out. Oh, fuck you! Fuck you! Hold on. What the fuck? More specifically, just the lights. Yeah, that's right. The gimmick of Night 4 is that the only way you can see is through a flashlight that follows your mouse. The cameras will be dark as well, making it harder to see some of the characters. Let's just take a moment to talk about how fucking genius this mechanic is. The only other FNAF game that I can think of that does this is Showman's, and it was brilliant there as well. Without literally changing anything about the game, you've just made it much more challenging. Especially when it comes to Bernard. Oh my god, Bernard. Bernard is the sole reason this night is even remotely difficult. If you remember from earlier, Bernard doesn't make a sound cue when he's at your door. He's also one of the characters that doesn't have glowing eyes. So this brings up the question, how are you supposed to be able to tell he's at the door if you can't see him? I want you to take a good long look at this image right here. Do you see it? Yeah, that's Bernard's hand. That's all you get to be able to tell if he's there. Obviously, looking at it now, it seems so clear. How could you even miss that? But let me tell you, when you're in a game, focusing on managing all the characters at once, this little detail could very easily end a lot of your runs. And that was totally the intention. And I think that's really cool. Again, making the game harder without drastically changing anything. It's awesome. But if you manage to complete Night 4, an unknown figure will appear in front of you and roar, flinging you to the back of the office where you'll fall into a springlock suit and fucking die. What the fuck? Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's what happens. And this leads perfectly into Night 5. Night 5 has you awaken, finding out you're not dead inside the suit. Getting back up, you notice the figure that caused your death was Golden Friedrich, the final boss of this game. Using your new powers from the suit, you fucking punch him in the face and he runs away like a bitch. Get ready, guys. Let's talk about the most frustrating character Five Nights at Friedrich's has to offer, Golden Friedrich. Night 5 is easily my favorite night in the entire game. This is the night that really shows off the flow state you can get into while playing this game, and I'll explain why as we go. To start, let's go over how Golden Friedrich works. Golden Friedrich has 4 means of attacking you. The first attack has him go to either of your doors like Bernard. A noticeable sound cue will play, that being him laughing, which by the way you should get used to because he's going to be doing that a lot throughout this night. Deal with him by using the lasers how you'd expect. The next mechanic has him dive into the vent like Friedrich. Deal with him the same way you would Friedrich, just by using the laser. Now we can talk about the other 2 attack methods that aren't seen anywhere else in the game. The first has him appear in your office. When he does, simply fucking punch him in the face. As you can tell by the look on his face after doing so, he is so incredibly shocked that you would even have the balls to attempt something like that. So insane, so he will quickly leave. The final attack, the most soul-sucking, fuck-ass, bitch-ass mechanic. I want you guys to take a guess what he could possibly do. That's right! My least favorite fucking FNAF mechanic ever designed! Teleporting to a random camera and having to search for which one he fucking went to and stare at him until he goes away. Friedrichs, you were doing so well. Why'd you have to do this to me? Why'd you have to bend me over and just fuck me right up the ass? Why? Why add this mechanic and blow up my internal organs like the goddamn 4th of July? I'm basically holding your fucking prison wallet. Go find him on the cameras. How about you go find my nuts? But hey, at least the rest of the night is pretty cool. Unlike most boss fight nights from FNAF games, this night doesn't make the boss the only threat throughout. However, this night will slowly reintroduce the characters you've been going up against as the night progresses every hour. 1 a.m., Bernard and Endoskelet reappear. Night 2, Chica and Felix reappear. 3 a.m., Freddy appears. And finally at 4 a.m., your lights go out once more. And at 5 a.m., the building starts on fire, forcing you to use the sprinklers. And from there, it's just a crazy survival game until the final 6 a.m. This night is honestly some of the most fun I've had with a FNAF game. Slowly reintroducing each mechanic throughout the night just made the whole experience slowly feel like it was getting harder and harder, which, to be fair, it was. 100% go try this game out. You will not regret it. Oh yeah, I forgot to mention that throughout this night, you've been able to see this memory wipe meter slowly fill up. Well, at the end of the night, it completes, and the character we've been playing as so far seemingly finally dies. Golden Friedrich laughs at the corpse, and that's when we're shot back to the menu to see that there is a night 6. But if we're dead, how is that even going to work? Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce you to the second main character of this game, Ella Vanilla. Ella is who we play as on night 6. She discovers a job flyer in the local newspaper and decides that it'd be a great idea to become the new night guard at Friedrichs. Entering the office for the final night, we're greeted to, oh my fucking god, there's Alan right there. That's right. On top of everything we've seen so far, our previous protagonist becomes an antagonist on this night, and he's pretty damn aggressive as well. Now being called Fritterfalle, he acts as an additional threat to make night 6 a pain in the dick. His mechanic is simple, basically being a music box, something I wasn't super thrilled about when I first saw it, but overall ends up not really feeling like one, even though that's literally all it is. Throughout this night, Fritterfalle will attempt to get up and murk your ass. In order to sedate him, all you have to do is hold his nose. According to the lore, the owners of this restaurant actually tell the technicians to do this to Fritter because they know how much of a threat he is. Yet for some reason, they refuse to throw his ass out. But with that, that's all the main game of Five Nights at Friedrichs has to offer. Let's fucking go! Woo! Woo! 217. Ella Vanilla. Fuck yeah, we got SpongeBob over there. Is that Gustavo Fring up here? But, as I'm sure you can tell by looking at the timeline of this video, I still have more I want to talk about. That being the story, and my favorite thing about any game ever, post-game. Let's start with the story. You may think that this game doesn't really have anything else besides what we've already covered with Alan and Ella, but there actually is a little bit more to dissect. I want to first thank commenters such as Lex Gauntly and Redman. If it weren't for comments like these on my Tales of the Bunnyman video, I probably wouldn't feel as confident talking about the story, as it is something I don't like doing because I don't feel like I can do it as much justice as it deserves. I also really want to thank City, the owner of the FNAF Game Wiki, for reaching out to me on Discord to tell me about certain things and clarify any questions I have when researching these videos. Let's start by getting something out of the way. Friedrichs Pizza is not a chain restaurant like Freddy Fazbear's, instead just being a standalone restaurant. The animatronics used to be kept in a location known only as F-NJ02. What the hell does that mean? I have no fucking idea. But at some point, these characters were transferred to another location known as F-PA09, which is the restaurant we see in the game. Throughout the game, you learn how to deal with the threats through the pages of the service manual on your desk. Turning over these pages will slowly tell a very disturbing story. They reveal that each animatronic were noted to have unknown human remains making up a majority of their body. Friedrich has human teeth and eyes, Clara has human arms, Bernard is literally just an amalgamation of human mush, Felix has human eyes, and Endo has human veins and teeth. On Flinguary, yes, by the way, the months are named differently in this game, 29th, 2009, Alan Fritter takes the job at Friedrich's after standing outside the building and slapping the window until he was hired. The reason he wanted the job? I have no fucking idea, and it's not clear in the game either, so just accept it. However, it is clear that the animatronics remember him from past events and are intent on killing him. Throughout the night, you are supposed to be taught the mechanics through the manual on your desk. However, the pages of said manual have been ripped out, crumpled, and scribbled on by presumably previous employees. These scribbles are mocking the animatronics, which I get the funny feeling pisses them off a little bit, and it's confirmed that the characters enjoy killing the guards at the establishment. It's confirmed that Clara made her first successful pizza using Alan's body parts. Bernard used his arms as a back scratcher, Friedrich used his fucking veins as dental floss, which is insane, and Endoskelet used his remains as a suit. As far as I could tell, Felix is the only one who didn't do something fucked with the corpse. Obviously, at the end of the week, Alan gets that Soulja Boy cranked on him by Golden Friedrich and is stuffed inside a spare suit. His memory is wiped, and instead of disposing of the corpse in their restaurant, the owners instead instructed the technicians to use him for testing. Okay, maybe I'm too level-headed, but this seems like a very stupid idea that would get OSHA on your ass in about 4 seconds flat. Of course, Ella Vanilla later takes his position and we play as her in Night 6. It's clear that Alan still somewhat has a presence inside of the suit. Obviously because he can attack you while playing as Ella, but also because through the extras menu, we learn that he responds to Ella's comments through the collectibles menu, and at one point even entrusts her with holding an unstated item appearing as some weird looking snapped object. But really, after this, the story is either unclear or not canon. So as far as I'm aware, that's everything, and Five Nights at Friedrich's truly comes to a close. Overall, I think Five Nights at Friedrich's is one of the most fun FNAF experiences I've ever had. The game is goofy, the story is simple and silly, and the game mechanics are some of the most solid and fun to play I've ever seen. The amount of post-game in the extras menu is also more than I've seen in many other FNAF games, and I definitely recommend you give it a try. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or do you think Friedrich's isn't that great at all? Bad fan games. Love them or hate them, you have to admit they can be pretty funny at times. Maybe you like them because of the bad grammar, bad art, bad storytelling, bad voice acting, or just overall bad design. Well, if you're interested in that, rest assured the fan game we'll be covering today has a bit of all of those components, and I'm excited to share them with you. The game in question is Mario and Animatronic Horror. Made by two devs, it serves to be one of the most atrocious fan games ever designed, but it is, in all honesty, one of my favorites. I should note that this game is technically not possible to obtain legitimately and can only be found through websites like the Wayback Machine. This is because Nintendo is the most greedy, grubby company to ever cross this plane of existence. They DMCA'd this game for copyright infringement because it used their characters. So keep in mind, that means that what we're going to see is legally canonical. So enjoy that information as we go along. With that being said, let's jump into Mario and Animatronic Horror. If you're at all familiar with RPG Maker horror games, then a game called Mario the Music Box might ring a few bells to you. Another RPG Maker horror game that uses Mario that is actually pretty good. Let me know if you'd like me to cover it sometime in the future. Mario and Animatronic Horror was actually directly inspired by Mario the Music Box, and it definitely shows. However, as I already mentioned, Mario the Music Box is good, and this game, well... Starting the game, we're met to an anime opening for the game. This is where we first noticed that the 3D animations in this game are actually surprisingly pretty solid, and are definitely the best parts of these games. But that's immediately downplayed when you use your ears and notice that the opening music is Panic at the Disco, which they also decided to name incorrectly in the credits, saying Panic on the Disco instead. Panic at the Disco? What is this anime opening? What am I watching? After that masterpiece of an opening finished, we're forced to remember that this is, in fact, a horror game, and we're greeted to an opening cutscene. Mario states that he has voices in his head, canonically revealing that Mario is a schizo. Because of these voices, he decides to get a job at Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Why does he choose this? I have no fucking idea. And with that, we're tossed right into night 1. Mario walks into the pizzeria and has an amazing reaction to the animatronics on stage.
Mamma mia, those things are terrifying.
I love the dialogue in this game. If you ever play it yourself, you'll notice that what the voice actors say and what you see in the text boxes on screen almost never match at all. But if you don't feel like playing the game yourself, I totally understand. You can watch my full playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Mario heads back to the office and receives a phone call from Phone Guy. You may think these phone calls will be important, but you'd be completely wrong. These phone calls are basically just the calls from Five Nights at Freddy's 1, except for some reason they didn't want to use the actual audio from the game, so instead they opted to hire a voice actor to read it, and I guess they also didn't just copy and paste the script from the game, but appeared to try their best to rewrite what was said from memory. I'm not sure what the thought process was here.
Hello? Hello? And welcome to Freddy Fazbear's Pizza. Magical place where grown-ups alike, where fantasy and fun can come to life.
In this office is also where I found that this specific tile on the wall had no hitbox, so that's pretty cool. Okay. After the call, Mario is understandably scared from being told that animatronics would try to butt bang him and stuff him in a suit. We cut to a short cutscene from the animatronics who, lucky us, also speak. They talk about how familiar we look. Now, from hearing that, you'd probably think that this would be the same misunderstanding from the actual games, where they think we're William Afton because we're wearing the purple security guard suit. However, that wouldn't make sense because Mario is wearing his normal outfit, which the animatronics even acknowledge. So I have no idea where they got the crack they're snorting, but it was clearly laced. Freddy sends Bonnie to go get Mario from the office and give him a rim job. Mario decides to check the cameras and notices that Bonnie has left the stage. However, rather than using his head and checking the other cameras to see where he's at, Mario instead decides it would be a smarter idea if he went out of the office to go look for Bonnie himself. With that, Mario exits the office and begins exploring. Going near Pirate's Cove, Mario finds a key to the back room and sees a classic FNAF hallucination and sharts his pants. Back room key. Oh, what the fuck? With the back room key, he uses it to get into the back room. I don't really know what you expected to happen, but I guess it's a good thing I'm here to hold your hand and tell you these obvious things because you're too brainwashed. Here, maybe if I speak your language, you'll better understand me. Skibidi Riz Edge Mario goons on a Gaiac Goblin and gets rizzy with it. You understand me now? All right, let's keep moving. In the back room, Mario reads a newspaper clipping going over the missing children's case. It's not long, however, before Mario's ADHD kicks in and he gets bored and decides to leave. ADHD? More like ADHD's nuts, am I right?
Oh, brother, this guy stinks!
Alright. Anyways, when Mario goes to leave, he hears Bonnie approaching, and we get possibly the funniest line delivery I've ever heard in my life.
You can't hide from your buddy Bonnie. I'm gonna hug you till you burst.
Wasn't that the most amazing thing you've ever heard? Yeah, I bet it was. Mario figures it'd probably be a good idea to hide, and I would probably agree with him. This is where you get the first of many decisions. When you make a choice, you could get wrong at your possible, and you could possible get killed. When you make a choice, the choice could wrong, and you could possible get killed. Where are you going to hide? You can choose either the closet, under the table, or hiding in the Freddy suit on the table. Now, you may be inclined to hide in the most retarded area on the planet, but I would encourage you to not do that. Hiding in the closet is the correct option, but I guess I'll humor you and I'll tell you what happens if you choose the other two options. Let's start with the suit. If you choose to hide in the suit, Bonnie actually won't find you and will leave, which might lead one to believe they made the right decision. But for those of you who are familiar with the FNAF lore, which I imagine is all of you, you'd know that getting into a suit is a pretty bad idea, because Mario ends up getting stuck and spring locked inside. How'd you get in? Reverse engineer. And you're dead. So good job, buddy. I don't even know why getting inside the suit was an option, given how scared Mario was of getting stuffed inside one. Choosing to hide under the table instead, you would not be surprised to find that Bonnie literally immediately sees you. Because, no shit, that should have been obvious. This is when he grabs you and we get to see another surprisingly good 3D animation, where Bonnie hits us in the dome with his guitar as hard as he can.
I found you.
Oh, damn! Oh, we're dead as fuck, boy. We're dead as fuck. You might think these animations were just found somewhere and imported into the game, but no. As far as I can tell, these animations are actually original to this game, which is actually pretty damn cool. Of course, the closet is the correct choice, so Mario hides in there like a normal person would. Yeah, being gay is pretty safe. Bonnie begins walking around the back room, and even though we hear his footsteps, we're given the choice to peek out. Of course, Mario chooses not to do that because he isn't stupid, and Bonnie eventually does leave, and Mario re-emerges from the closet. As Mario exits the closet, a rusty crowbar appears out of nowhere on the floor and Mario takes it. Heading back to Pirate's Cove, he uses it to open up a crate.
Come on, you stupid crowbar!
Inside the crate, he finds the kitchen key. Now, I think we all know where the kitchen is in the first FNAF game location. This game thought it would be funny to actually not put the kitchen there and instead put it right next to Pirate's Cove. Once in the kitchen, Mario finds a family photo. This is where I should mention the lore of this game sort of follows the original FNAF games, but also says, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want. This photo seems to show off the Afton family, and you already know Mario decides he needs to pocket that bitch. On the back of the picture is a handwritten note from William himself, naming a son called Nick and another called Kyle, spelled K-Y-E-L, which nobody has ever spelled that way. And no, this isn't just a typo. Kyle is spelled like this throughout the entire game. Boring lore garbage about Kyle enjoying scaring Nick, blah blah blah, bite of 83 bullshit, who cares, let's get to the interesting stuff. Finding nothing else, Mario heads back to the office to check the cameras and notices Foxy isn't in Pirate's Cove, moments later checking to see that Foxy is running down the halls. So, Mario does know how to check the other cameras, which means he really did just choose not to check the other cameras to find Bonnie earlier. Here we get a choice to either close the door or hide under the desk. Why the hell would you choose to hide under the desk? Well, it's to see a cool death animation. Oh shit! He slashed my shit up, bro. But obviously we close the door and keep that little bitch out. After almost dying a second time, Mario decides he should leave the office again and continue to look around. So maybe he is an idiot. We head back to Pirate's Cove and find that an arcade machine has randomly appeared. Since Mario is an actual god gamer, you already know he had to pour some hours into whatever game it is we're about to play. Is it Galaga? Pac-Man? Maybe some Donkey Kong Jr.? No, it's actually just a really shitty classic FNAF minigame. I should have figured. In this game, we play as the little baby bitch boy from Five Nights at Freddy's 4, except for some reason his name is Nick, which is just not correct. But whatever. Nick walks into his bedroom and gets absolutely reamed by his brother Kyle, which again, also not his name, but we're just gonna ignore that, I suppose. With the jump scare playing out, the game ends. Mario pretends to be sympathetic for a short moment before forgetting the kid ever existed and walks back to the office where the power then goes out. I could describe to you what happens next, but I think it'd be much funnier if I just let it play out.
Well, I guess that's all the rooms. But I never found the chicken.
Guess you're fucked. Oh shit. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Thank you, Mario. Ooh. Ooh.
Welcome, one and all, it's time to have some fun.
No.
Let's have a party for you, my friend. Hey, don't run away, we want to play with every night. Hey buddy, don't run away. It's time to play our happiest day. Now you are trapped in nowhere to hide. No other places you can hide. Hey, just sit back and relax.
What?
You will be nothing but a bloody corpse.
Oh.
And then you'll be in our tomb.
What? It's 6 a.m.
Wasn't that just amazing? You're telling me Beyonce won the Grammy for her shitty country album when this masterpiece existed? God, nobody has any culture anymore. With that, night 1 concludes and we cut straight to night 2 with Mario returning for some reason. Which, by the way, I still really don't know why he's here in the first place. Mario gets back to the office and listens to another useless phone call. We're told the camera doesn't have any batteries and that there are some spares in the kitchen for some reason. And since Mario can't sit in one place for more than 13 seconds, he has to get out of his office and explore what he's already explored. Heading to Pirate's Cove, Mario stumbles right into Chica. Chica threatens him with a good time by offering to put her entire beak into his rectum, but Mario rudely declines and runs into the kitchen to hide. Again, we're given a few options. Let's go over the stupid ones first. If you choose to hide in the oven like a moron, I'm willing to bet you can guess what happens. Hide in the oven? That's an atrocious idea, sure.
I know you're in here. I'm gonna find you.
She almost British? That'd make me hate her more.
I think she's gone.
I don't think she is.
Hey, why won't the door open? Come on! What's that smell?
You, bro, it's you.
Oh no, the oven is on!
Oh shit, you're cooked.
Ah!
That's right, you roast like a pig. Now, if we decide instead to put on our thinking caps like a big boy, we choose to hide under the sink, which is actually not thinking cap behavior now that I think about it, but whatever, because that is the correct option to choose in this case, and I actually don't know if you can even hide anywhere else in the kitchen. After Chica leaves, Mario finds a battery, so he heads back to the office to pop those puppies in the camera, only to find that he needs more. Great. We notice a key to the supply closet on the desk, so we go there to check for more batteries. Lo and behold, we actually find some there, but we also find Bonnie sniffing around for some booty. Upon being groped, Bonnie drops another fire bar.
I found you. Time for some fun.
I love this game so much. Anyways, we fight Bonnie off with some cleaning supplies and book it back to the office to lock Bonnie out. Once Bonnie gives up, Mario checks the cameras and notices an arcade machine inside of the curtains in Pirate's Cove. So, like a moron, he decides to go check it out. We get to the arcade machine and hop into the next Mona Lisa of a minigame. In this minigame, we play as Kyle after the events of the Bite of 83, where instead of taking him to the hospital, they just leave his sorry ass in his room to die. Kyle walks down to the basement feeling a lot of guilt, as he should. This is where William comes downstairs to yell and belittle him. Once again, as he should. But then William goes sicko mode and slits his throat, stuffing his son into the Foxy suit that for some reason they have in their basement. Upon finishing the minigame, Mario notices Foxy is right behind him and a chase ensues. Now, you might see this chest and blade off to the side of the cove, and you might think to use them to your advantage. That's what I thought. But after a few attempts trying to interact with them, I noticed that they're just fucking decorations. Also, for some reason, the Mario avatar art while interacting with these objects is way different from the usual PNGs. Anyways, we run back to the office and lock Foxy out. Once he leaves, we decide it would be a phenomenal idea to exit the office once more and continue to look around. Mario just never learns, does he? In the party room, we find a note on the floor that wasn't there before. The note seems to be from another one of William's sons, who I can only imagine is Michael. Michael's worried about his missing brother and is a little sussy about how weird his father is acting. Going back to the office, we lose power again and again. I can't just describe what happens next. You have to see it yourself. Oh, dick. Bro, we closed the door for like 20 collective seconds. Please don't sing again. Please, dear God, don't. Okay, we're good. This is some bullshit like I wasn't supposed to actually come back to the office. I'll cream my pants, bro.
Aw, man. He didn't finish his song.
I actually really liked it.
I was enjoying that. He should have been on American Idol.
What?
Thanks.
Oh shit. Bro, is he about to get touched? This just might be the best game ever designed. Wasting no time, we jump right into night 3. Phone guy tells us Freddy has been squirting, literally, which like, fucking ew. He tells us it's our job to go to the back room and clean him up, so we head to the back room to do just that. Upon entering, we see Freddy posted up on the table and we're given the option to remove his head, hand, or torso. Choosing to remove his torso, we unsurprisingly find a child's corpse inside. Mario runs to the bathroom like a bitch to vomit, and upon trying to leave, quickly runs back into the stall to hide from Chica, who had just entered. We choose to try and punch Chica, but unfortunately for us, Chica is made out of metal, so she just kills us instead of giving us a blumpkin. Oh, you're dead. Oh, ow, bro, I don't want to eat it. Back the fuck up. Back up, bro. Just shit out my eyes and shit, bro. Fuck off. What you actually have to do is just trip her and run away. Doing exactly that, we run back to the office only to find an arcade machine inside. Okay, let's play it. In this minigame, we play as William as he wrangles up the kids and brutally murders them. William manages to frame his son Michael, but I don't really care. Pretty typical FNAF stuff if I'm being honest. But come on, do we really care about this backstory? Of course not. You're watching this video to learn about the tomfoolery in this game, so let's get back to that. As Mario leaves the office in an attempt to explore again, the power goes out, and Mario asks the most based question of all time. Oh shit,
Are
you're
you
fucked.
serious? Is this power supply running on AA batteries?
Okay, that's a good line. I like that one. Mario decides he's just gonna leave because this is bullshit. However, while trying to leave, Golden Freddy appears right in front of him and night 3 comes to a close. Night 4 has us playing as Luigi, who goes to the pizzeria in search of Mario. As Luigi goes to the office, he finds William fucking around with some crate. After a bit of back and forth, William tells Luigi he's seen Mario around. He says he'll help Luigi find Mario, but that he has something he needs to do first. Giving Luigi the task of keeping the animatronics distracted, he walks off, telling Luigi not to look in his crate. So the very first thing Luigi does is look in the crate, because he's a little rebel and it is in fact not a phase. Inside is a note from Henry. It just says some stupid shit about not believing Michael is a killer. If you remember, William framed his son for the child murders, whatever, boring ass garbage. I want funny haha lines! Luigi goes to the back room and finds an arcade machine. You shouldn't be surprised by these things anymore. This minigame isn't even a game, it's just sitting there like a dunce while Henry talks to you. If you thought Henry's monologue from Pizzeria Simulator was good, you're not even ready for how top tier this monologue is. And you can listen to the whole thing in my playthrough on my second channel, Dxtr Black. After completing this minigame, a Golden Freddy plush appears on the table of the back room and the power once again goes out and Luigi gets scared like a bitch. The plushie offers to help Luigi find his way around the building and to Mario. Luigi agrees and we play a sister location style game where the plushie tells us which directions to go in and when to stay still if there's an animatronic present. The only difference between sister location in this section, however, is that the plushie in this game talks about 400 times slower than Baby did.
What do I need to go to the kitchen for?
You will see. So first, go forward.
After wandering into the kitchen, Luigi meets the marionette. The marionette talks for about 8 hours straight and basically just says, murder bad, I murder murderers, Mario is near the bathroom, go get him. Oh, and also please free the children's souls. We do exactly that and find Mario in a dark room halfway inside of a suit. We solve a code puzzle that opens the suit, which actually makes no sense whatsoever, but whatever, let's just pretend like it does. The brothers walk out of the bathroom and catch Freddy making out with a toilet. No, I'm not joking. This is actually something that is in the game. I have no idea what's going on. I might be having a stroke. Anyways, the brothers go home, as they should. Before starting night 5, we're given the option to go back or not. We obviously choose not to, but psych fucker, that's the wrong option. Luigi's fucking dead. Oh yeah, and Mario's dead too. Watch Fredbear bite his fucking arm off like he's Pennywise and pull him into the fucking void and force him to stare at his brother's corpse until the end of time. Damn. That escalated quickly, didn't it? Yeah, let's just get back to the pizzeria instead and avoid all that. Upon arriving, the brothers hot-bottom to the office to make a game plan. Luigi tells Mario about the promise he made to the marionette, and Mario agrees to help. The brothers go to the kitchen and ask the marionette how they can save the kids' souls. The marionette tells them what they have to do is save each kid. Pretty basic concept. Tee, you'll find shit they like, Lamau. Fetch quest time! To save Chica, we have to go eat the pizza found in the party room and compliment how good it is. That makes the soul of Chica happy, and she gives us a party box and a chest key. Using the chest key, we go to the bathroom and unlock a crate that has Bonnie's guitar inside. We take his guitar to him, saving his soul, and he gives us a party box and another chest key. I'm geeked out of my mind right now. Using the key Bonnie gave us, we unlock a crate in the bathrooms. That crate has a Freddy plush inside. We take the Freddy plush to Freddy in Pirate's Cove, saving his soul, and it gives us another party box. I'm straight up jorking it. Heading back to the kitchen, we see the marionette, Bonnie, Chica, and Freddy having a party. They thank us for the help, but then Foxy shows up. He wants to kill us, but everyone else tells him not to. Golden Freddy soon shows up, which by the way is the brother who got chomped on if it wasn't obvious, and he forgives his brother for killing him. Leaving the party, we get ready to leave the pizzeria, but as we step into the party room, we see William walking towards the bathrooms and decide to follow him. This is the point in the game where we get to see Springlock failure, which is just always a good time, I can't lie.
Hide in my suit.
Kids, it's me, Spring Bonnie. It's your best pal.
Oh shit. Oh, he's fucking dead. Oh damn. After watching the gruesome death, the brothers kick rocks and go back home. And after that, we get the abandoned ending. Oh no. Endings. Let's go! After the credits roll, we're put into the point of view of William inside the Springtrap suit 30 years later. We're given the option to either end the pain or to wait out our time. Choosing end the pain leads to a monologue from William longer than the Henry monologue we had earlier, which I was dead ass falling asleep during. You can see that in my full playthrough over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. 3 shills in one video? God damn, I'm a menace. Choosing this path leads to Springtrap burning down the establishment and ending his life, giving us the we all burn ending. If we instead choose to wait our time, we get a teaser for the next game in the series, Mario and Animatronic Horror Fazbear Fright Arc, which, spoiler alert, was never released. Do you remember FNAF World, the RPG by Scott Cawthon after the release of Five Nights at Freddy's 4? Back when we all thought the franchise would be over. Of course you do. It was probably one of the most controversial games he's ever made. Now, how about the FNAF RPG that came before it? Do you remember that? Do you remember the Five Nights at Freddy's fan game that broke the classic FNAF formula and decided to do something completely unique and never seen before? A game that turned the target audience for FNAF completely on its head, with more vulgarities in a single 3-hour game than your drunk stepdad. I'm sure a light bulb is going off in some of your heads already, but for those of you who don't follow, or for those of you who are too young to remember the early days of Five Nights at Freddy's, the game I'm talking about is Five Nights at Boys, a FNAF RPG created by Sable Lynn and Joshua Shaw back in November of 2014. For all of you that remember, I'm going to take you on a stroll down memory lane as we dive back into the world of Five Nights at Fuckboys. Since the franchise has been released, there has been an updated version created by Zane. The update greatly fixes a lot of problems that the originals had, such as the sound effects not being louder than an atomic bomb, and much needed difficulty balancing. This video will only be covering the first game in this series, but note that there are more games, and if you like this video and are interested in hearing me talking about the other ones, definitely let me know in the comments below. Before we begin, I'd like to say thank you all so much for the support on my last video.
Within 4 days of that video being posted, it passed 1,000 views, which is absolutely crazy, and I honestly can't thank you all enough. Roar the Rapper corrected me on the comment I made about taking shifts in my last video, and that gave me a fun idea. I think it'd be fun to ask you guys a question at the end of the video, and show my favorite answer at the beginning of the next video, so stick around to the end of the video if you'd like to participate. Without further ado, let's get into the video. In Five Nights at Fuckboys, we play as Freddy. We start on the show stage in the original game's location. We can move around the pizzeria freely and explore wherever we'd like. Even though this game is pretty linear in terms of progression, I really like that no location is blocked off until we make progress, aside from the office, which is only unlocked at the end of the game, but that's for good reason. The goal of this game is to get into the office, presumably to kill the security guard, just like the animatronics from the original. However, if you just try to go to the office right away, the security guard will see you coming because of the cameras and shut the door on you, but not before Freddy says this amazing line.
I want you inside of me.
And they say chivalry is dead. Ladies, this is what a real man should be saying to you. That was a joke, by the way. So, since it's clear that the security guard can see us coming, what would the logical choice be? Do we wait outside of his door so that the power runs out? No, of course not. That'd make too much sense. What we do instead is beat the shit out of all the cameras so that he can't see us. Alright, cool. A new objective. There are multiple cameras around the pizzeria, just like the original, but we really have to be careful as each of these cameras act as a boss. You can tell which cameras are more difficult than others because before you choose to fight them, you can see their difficulty listed at the top of the screen, which I think is a really nice addition. But before I can dive into the boss fights, we have to talk about how this game actually plays. As I said, this is an RPG, so there is a lot of turn-based fighting. But try your best not to let that turn you off from giving this game a try. As you walk around the pizzeria, randomly you will enter fights with party hats. There are multiple types of party hats: alpha hats, beta hats, gamma hats, and omega hats. Each listed is more difficult than the last, each having more health, damage, and skills as the last. The area of the pizzeria that you're in dictates which type of party hat you will find. This is a small way of letting you know which area you should be going to. If you're used to fighting alpha hats, which are the weakest, and you wander into an area that has omega hats, which are the strongest, that's a pretty good sign that you probably shouldn't be over there yet. That's what I mean when I say that the game can be pretty linear progression-wise. However, I really like that even though in that situation there's no way you'd be beating an Omega Party Hat, you still have the option to venture over there, something which I wish modern RPGs would do. Beating Party Hats, or any enemies, will give you XP and tokens, an in-game currency you can use to buy items. At the start of the game, you can buy items from the vending machine in the dining area. The vending machine sells really shitty items, but shopping from here will be pretty necessary for the early moments of the game. When I first went into this game, I told myself I wouldn't use items in battle. I was thinking of this game like Pokemon. In Pokemon, I hate using items in battle, so I thought I could do that here too. Let me tell you, you will need to use items in battle, as this game is most likely impossible without them. However, unlike Pokemon, where using items in battle makes the game incredibly easy, even with items in battle in Five Nights at Fuckboys, you'll still probably find yourself struggling from time to time. I think if you want to say you don't want to use items in battle for a challenge, don't use pizzas or cakes. Pizzas heal health and cakes revive party members. A character you get later in the game can do both of these things with a special ability, so using them, while doing the same thing, can't be spammed as much as the items can. In battle, I liked to use just the soda as an item, since I felt it didn't make every fight super easy. Soda just increases your party member's SP, which stands for special points. Don't worry, I'll get into all that later. I suppose I should probably talk about how the battling works. As you enter a battle, for each character in your party, you get to select one of 4 options: Scream, Skills, Guard, and Item. Scream is just a basic attack that costs you nothing. Skills will allow you to use one of your skills. Each character will gain a maximum of 5. Every character starts with Scan, an ability that costs nothing and doesn't even waste a turn. It allows you to see the health of a target enemy and anything special that the enemy does. I mainly only ever used this for bosses, since a lot of them have cheats to make them more difficult. I'll get into that later. Guard will make that party member guard for the turn. It costs nothing and makes the character's defense increase massively for the turn. And Item allows a character to choose an item you have in your inventory and target another party member or itself with it. After all of your party members have selected what they will do, based on your party members' speed stats and the speed stat of your enemies, each entity in the fight will perform the action they chose. After every action has been taken, the cycle repeats. It continues to repeat until either you defeat all the enemies or the enemies defeat your entire party. With the basics explained, we can get into the meat of the game. Just from walking around, you'll be able to find the other animatronics, Bonnie, Foxy, and Chica. Well, you can't see Chica because she's in the kitchen and the kitchen is locked. The kitchen and the office are the only two rooms you can't enter immediately. So, trying to use just Freddy to progress is not fun and is very frustrating and tedious, so your best course of action is to add the other characters to your party to help out. Walking into the back room, you'll find Bonnie. Upon talking to him, he tells you he's missing his face, and he wants you to find it for him. We'll get back to Bonnie later as he's the last member you'll add to your party. In the back room, you also see this party hat. These party hats act as mini-bosses in the game, and you can find them in various areas of the game. Once you beat any of them, which can be a pretty hard challenge, especially the first one, Balloon Boy will appear. Balloon Boy acts as the shopkeeper in this game. Once you unlock the first Balloon Boy, you will never have to go back to the vending machine again. Balloon Boy, along with selling pizzas, sodas, and cakes, also sells helpful items, such as better versions of weapons for each character, armor, and accessories. Each increases a specific stat for your party members. Each time you unlock a Balloon Boy, the items he sells gets better and better, giving you a clear incentive to fight these mini-bosses. I really like how simple his shop is. It's very straightforward with what you should buy, and you won't find yourself sitting in the shop for long periods of time trying to figure out the best way to build your party. But in order to beef up our party, we actually need to fill it first. We know we can't get to Chica yet because she's locked in the kitchen, so that means we have to get Foxy first. Walking into Pirate's Cove, we see Foxy behind the curtain. I'm not going to say what he's doing in there, but I'm sure you can read. At this point, if you walk back into the main room, you can find a lighter in a box. Taking the lighter and going back into Pirate's Cove, Freddy attempts to burn it down, but before he can do that, Balloon Boy steals the lighter from Freddy and forces you to buy it from him. There's literally no purpose behind this besides to show you how annoying Balloon Boy is. After you buy the lighter back from Balloon Fuck, you can actually burn down Pirate's Cove. Doing so forces Foxy to join your party. At this point, if you enter the bathroom, you can find a key. While you're in here, you might think to enter the actual bathrooms. You can enter the men's room just fine, but upon trying to enter the women's room, Freddy won't because he's a man. We'll have to come back later with a female character. Speaking of, with this key, we can unlock the kitchen. Upon doing so, Chica joins our party. With Chica, we'll be able to get into the women's bathroom. Inside, there's a chest with a voucher inside. There's also a party hat mini-boss. After beating it and unlocking the bathroom Balloon Boy, talking to him lets you exchange the voucher for Bonnie's face. Going back to the back room, you give Bonnie his face back and he joins your party. Congrats! You now have the entire party of characters with you. Now's probably a good time to talk about each character's skills. Every 5 levels, a character will unlock a new one, with a maximum of level 20 and 4 total unlocked skills. Freddy's level 5 skill is Top Hat Toss. It costs SP or special points, and the amount it costs depends on Freddy's level. This is the same for most abilities in the game, spanning across all characters. The higher the level, the more it costs. Top Hat Toss deals large damage to an enemy and hits twice. His level 10 ability is Lead Stinger. It deals damage once and deals more damage if the target enemy is poisoned. There are several buffs and debuffs in this game, and poison is one of them. This move also has a small chance to inflict poison upon dealing damage. The poison debuff will cause the inflicted entity to take damage at the end of the turn. Freddy's level 15 skill is Toreador March, a skill that hits several times. Each hit deals a very small amount of damage, but it leaves the targeted enemy with a large chance of being put to sleep, which is another debuff. Entities with sleep will be unable to perform any actions until they wake up. Freddy's level 20 ability is Death Inhale. This ability can only be used once per battle and costs 100 TP. TP stands for technique points, and a character gains them by being damaged by enemies. 100 is the maximum amount a character can have, and every battle starts each party member with 0, so getting any character to 100 TP can prove to be a challenge. Death Inhale will do an enormous amount of damage to a targeted enemy and hit them multiple times. Foxy's level 5 ability is Plank Walk, an ability that deals a large amount of damage and has a chance to paralyze the targeted enemy. Paralyzed entities have a chance to not be able to perform actions. The chance of causing paralysis increases with the more TP Foxy has. Foxy's level 10 ability is Rushdown. When used, Foxy will hit the enemy several times with pretty high damage on each hit. Foxy's level 15 ability is Speed Share, an ability that just increases all party members' speed. And his level 20 ability is Sea Shanty, an ability that greatly decreases the targeted enemy's attack and defense, and has a chance to inflict silence, which is another debuff. Entities with silence will be unable to use their skills. Chica's level 5 ability is Pizza Pass, an ability that heals a target party member a great amount of health, by far her best ability. Her level 10 ability is Fearless Flight. It deals a pretty shitty amount of damage to a target enemy, but any buffs that enemy had get removed, so that's really nice. Chica's level 15 ability is Caffeine Revival. It does exactly what you think it does. Revives a dead party member. I never found myself using this much since enemies tended to hit all party members rather than just focusing on one, which is really nice. Chica's level 20 ability is Mama Bird. It increases a target party member's defense and increases their SP by 50%. Because I tended to use sodas a lot in battle, I never found myself using this ability very often. And finally, we have Bonnie, the character who I honestly found the most useless in battle. It's very clear he's supposed to be a general support, just like Chica is a healing support, but he kind of does it in a way that you almost never use him. I usually ended up using Bonnie as the character who used items, but his level 5 ability is Bunny Hop, which hits a target enemy multiple times and has a small chance to lower their defense, and I do mean a small chance. His level 10 ability is Riff Wave, by far the ability I had him use the most. It deals a large amount of damage to a target enemy and has a medium chance to inflict poison. The poison is the main reason I used this ability, just so Freddy's ability would deal more damage. Bonnie's level 15 ability is Backup Bash. It deals a lot of damage and has a medium chance to decrease the targeted enemy's attack. This ability actually deals more damage depending on how many party members are dead, but since you probably won't have members dead all too often, and the fact that Freddy and mainly Foxy are your two main hitters, you will almost never use this ability unless you're specifically trying to decrease enemy damage. And finally, his level 20 ability is Motivation Jam, in my opinion, his best ability. It greatly increases the defense and attack of a targeted party member for about 4 turns. Super helpful when paired with Foxy or Freddy when he uses Death Inhale. Wow, that took longer than I thought it would. I apologize, let's continue. Again, in order to get to the office, we have to knock out all the cameras. The first camera I recommend beating is the show stage camera, as it has no cheats. Just beat it normally, and you're on to the next one. The dining room camera is what I suggest you do next. It and every other camera from this point forward will have a cheat to make their fight more difficult. This one will drain your SP every turn. With how early in the game you'll fight this camera, this cheat is devastating. The back room camera will get stronger and stronger each turn, so the longer you spend trying to kill it, the more and more damage it will do to your party members. The West Hall camera is one of the worst. Every turn it will heal around 500 health. Considering where you are at the time, that can be 70 to 80% of your damage output each turn, making this fight take way longer than it needs to. Pack plenty of soda for this one. The East Hall camera's cheat really isn't a problem. Like the dining room camera, instead of draining your SP, it drains your TP instead. At this point in the game, you probably won't find yourself relying on TP yet, unless you like to spam Foxy's Plank Walk ability, which you should really be using Rushdown for Foxy anyway, since it's just better in most cases. The bathroom camera can cause a real problem if you're not prepared. Your entire party is inflicted with poison the entire fight, and there's no way to get rid of it. Depending on when you decide to fight this camera, this can be a real run killer. Pirate's Cove camera has a speed so high that the only character in your party that will perform their action before it is Foxy. Highly recommend using Foxy's speed share ability during this fight. After doing that, it should be a cakewalk. The supply closet camera is by far the easiest, considering you're fighting them in the correct order, which is the order that I'm telling you to fight them in. The camera will literally heal your party. I have no idea why it does this, but it does. The East Hall corner camera isn't the worst, considering I fought some of the other optional mini-bosses before this. That might be the reason I feel this way. I'll get into those optional mini-bosses after these cameras. This camera will perform 2 actions per turn rather than 1. I could imagine that if I didn't beat the optional mini-bosses, that this fight and the next would have been much more difficult. The West Hall corner camera is probably the last one you should fight, mainly because of its health and damage output. But its cheat is super important to note. It is immune to all debuffs, which means it can't be paralyzed, poisoned, silenced, or put to sleep. This will greatly change how you go about fighting it, since, at least through my playthrough, I put a huge emphasis on poisoning my enemies. After beating the final camera, the power to the pizzeria will go out and you'll be able to enter the office for the final battle. But before I talk about that, there's a few things that happen before you fight the final camera that we need to talk about. I'll start with the optional mini-bosses I was talking about earlier. Once you max a character to level 20, their toy variant will appear on the map somewhere. Challenging them and beating them will give you the best version of said character's weapon. I fought them in order of Freddy, Bonnie, Chica, then Mangle. I do not recommend you beat them in that order, as some of them are much more difficult than others. I recommend you start with Toy Freddy, then Mangle, then Toy Bonnie, and ending with Toy Chica. Toy Chica was surprisingly the most difficult out of all of them. She was able to hit all of my party members multiple times in a single turn for huge damage, easily halving all of their health. This is one of the only fights where I felt like I needed to use healing items in battle because she would not stop fingering me in the asshole. There's also an optional boss you can fight. Well, it's optional to beat, mandatory to fight, that being the puppet. The wiki says the puppet spawns after beating your second camera, but I swear I beat at least 4 cameras before he spawned. Maybe that's because I was playing the complete collection instead of the original though. Either way, once the puppet spawns, a timer will appear in the top corner of your screen. When it runs out, you have to fight the puppet. You don't have to beat him to progress, but there's no reason not to since he gives a large amount of XP. In the complete collection, there's no way to reset this timer, and it will continue to count down even during fights. In my playthrough, it ran out while I was fighting Toy Freddy, and Toy Freddy had killed Chica. I had no way to revive her going into the puppet's fight, and that definitely made it much more difficult and tense since Chica is almost mandatory to beat any fight because she's the one that will be healing and reviving your characters. After beating the puppet, you can go into the bathroom and have an optional fight with the marionette, a more difficult version of the puppet. I didn't do this fight because I didn't know if it would be harder than the office fight. Considering finishing the office fight ends the game, I'm gonna have to assume that the marionette is not more difficult, but again, I never fought it. After doing these optional fights that you should definitely do if you don't want to get butt banged in the final fight, you can head down to the office and go inside. Upon entering, you're greeted by Golden Freddy, who's pissed that you didn't invite him to join the fun you've been having throughout the night. Golden Freddy is Five Nights at Fuckboy's final boss. He is the only boss in the game to have multiple other enemies you have to fight along with him. Alongside Golden Freddy, you also have to fight 4 Omega Party Hats, which, if you remember, are the most difficult party hat in the game. They're not too much of an issue, but I definitely recommend you take them out before you start targeting Golden Freddy, as their attacks can rack up a large amount of damage if left unanswered. As I said before, after beating Golden Freddy, the game ends. Golden Freddy screams, for no joke, 5 nights straight because he's a little pissy poop baby.
2D FNAF fan games. Some of the most interesting, fun, and unique fan games in the entire genre. Find me one of them that doesn't do something cool. I dare you. 5 Nights at Frederick's, 5 Nights at Frick Bear's, 1 Night at Flumpty's. All of these games are amazing for their own unique reasons. And that's because they do things that nobody else does. Today, we're going to be talking about another 2D FNAF fan game that the community absolutely adored upon its release. It reminds me a lot of what the community had to say about Cuphead when that game was first released. We've got plenty to talk about today, and a whole bunch of rage to get out of my system. So strap in and join me today as we dive into the world of 5 Newfangled Nights. Night 1 opens to a cutscene of the restaurant with a help wanted sign outside. Then we get this lovely cutscene.
Where am I?
Hi!
Ah!
Hey, it's okay. I won't bite.
Who are you?
Oh, right. Where are my manners? I'm Jeremy.
What happened to your,
Oh, this whole thing? I'm, mortally challenged? Dead.
Oh. Wait, if you're dead, then how am I talking to you?
Well, that's the thing. You're also living impaired. Dead. You're kind of dead too.
I don't feel dead.
Yeah, you don't really notice till the glow kicks in.
What?
Anywho, let's get out of here. This closet's a bit stuffy in here. Come on, I'll introduce you to the others.
Others?
Follow me. Okay, this is Susie,
Hi.
Fritz, hey, and Gabe.
Hello.
Gabe, we're over here.
Nice to meet you all. I'm Cassie. So how did we end up like this?
We were murdered in the back of the restaurant.
Fritz?
What? I'm being honest.
That's horrible! Who would do such a thing? Oh, just a night guard. The night guard?
Yeah, the night guard in the back. Lured us to parts and service, sliced and diced us, and hit our bodies.
And you guys just let him get away with it?
Well, yeah. He killed us. He works minimum wage, though. I feel like that's even.
No, it isn't. We gotta do something. Something to him. I say we kill him.
Hide!
Now, how to do it?
We could use the suits.
What suits?
Oh yeah, the mascot suit. It's where the killers hid our bodies. We hop into these tin cans, and we can walk around as a bunch of furry robots.
That could work.
Okay, we can try dibs.
Oh, man. Okay, Jeremy. Hop into one of those suits and teach that jerk a lesson.
Who?
The night guard.
What about him?
We're gonna kill him.
Oh, right! Don't worry, Cassie. I'll give him the what for.
Wasn't that just adorable? I actually really like the cutscenes that this game has. It makes it feel super unique, and it's a break from the action. However corny and unfunny I think the jokes are, I do kind of think that's also the point. Anyways, on to the actual night section where we can start talking about everything that this game has to offer. To begin, let's start with the tools at our disposal, of which there is a decent handful. Not a lot, just enough for me to taste it a little bit and go, oh boy. Shout out if you get that one. Anyways, we have a phone in which we receive phone calls that I will immediately hang up like I do with my crazy ex-girlfriend when she called me 30 to 50 times a day for the first 2 weeks after I broke up with her. Can you guys guess the reason why I'm going to be skipping these calls? If you said because it's my job to explain to you what happens in this game, then you'd be exactly right. Congratulations. We obviously have a camera system, but this one is a bit interesting. I've never quite seen one like it before. We get just this teeny tiny little screen that we can barely see fuck on, and then a bunch of levers at the bottom that let us surf through the cameras. We can also shut the cameras off too. I'm sure we'll never have to do that though. Anyways, we also have 2 doors, except only one of them matters because it's the only one that can actually be closed. The other one is just kind of there. Side tangent, why do most FNAF games have 2 doors to the office? Like, I never understood that. What architect decided, you know what this room needs? 2 entrances. Like, why? Why is that even a thing? Like, for what reasonable purpose could that possibly serve? I don't fucking know. Night 1 introduces, you guessed it, Bonnie. And as per usual, he's our favorite early game boring dick-ass character. And that's just how we like him, isn't it, everybody? Bonnie is as simple as you could imagine because he behaves quite literally the exact same as every other Bonnie to ever exist in the history of fuck. He will wander through the cameras until he reaches your left door. Thankfully, this game was kind enough to use sound cues so I don't have to rip my pubes out. When you see Bonnie at your door, all you have to do is hold the door closed, since this door is a manual and not an automatic, which reminds me of those entitled fucks who think they're better than everybody just because they drive a stick shift. Hate to break it to you, dickhead, nobody gives a fuck about your stupid ass car. You can go put that shifter right in your gooch. Of course, just hold the door closed for as long as Bonnie is there and he'll eventually leave and you can open it again. However, as I'm sure you could have already imagined, since Bonnie is the only threat during this entire night, all you need to do is hold it shut the entire night and you can win while basically doing absolutely nothing at all. Congrats! And guys, I know it's been a while since we've heard something like this on this channel, but this game actually has a post-night minigame. Yeah, I know. Isn't it beautiful? I feel like it's been so long since I've had some shit to complain about. Don't look at the last 3 videos. Those aren't real. In this game, we play Whack a Bonnie, which is just the best thing I've ever seen. The only thing that could possibly make it better is if it was either Toy Bonnie or my evil arch nemesis, Sheriff Slitherdick. You're obviously timed during this minigame, and your goal is to get 35 points. If you can successfully do this, then you'll skip the first 2 hours of the next night. I see we're taking a page out of the FNAF 4 playbook in this game, and I appreciate it. I really do. Too bad I'm dog shit at Whack-A-Mole and much better at a much more enjoyable game, Whack My Willy. Holy fuck, I'm gonna kill myself.
How'd it go, Jeremy?
Yeah, I didn't get him.
Why? What happened?
Well, I kind of sort of forgot what I was doing. Kind of hard to remember things with, you know.
Well, all you gotta do is reach into the office and grab him.
Great idea.
We might need some backup.
How about Gabe? He pilots the bear suit pretty darn well.
Well, what do you say, Gabe?
Well, I wouldn't want to encroach on anyone else's turn. Susie, why don't you give it a try?
Oh, sure. I'll go. I'd like to give that meanie a taste of his own medicine. All right, go ahead, Susie. Whee! Let me just take care of something real quick. Attention! All right, Bonnie. You take Carl, and I'll take Chica.
All right, night 2. Are you ready? Well, you better be because it's time to start talking about it. Night 2 opens with the tip to keep an eye on those doors. And like, no fucking shit, that's one of the core mechanics of the game. Why would I not keep my eyes on it? That's just a stupid, worthless tip. I got a tip this game can suck on. I'm sorry. Night 2 introduces 2 new threats. However, you could technically argue that they're one and the same, except not really, so I don't even know why I just said that. Night 2 introduces Chica and Carl, because in this game, Carl is actually his own character with his own mechanic, which I do think is super cool. Chica is pretty simple, although I do think she actually has one of the most interesting mechanics I've ever seen. And I swear, I'm not joking about that. I actually think it's super fucking cool. Chica will wander around the cameras until she eventually attacks your right door, as she tends to do in most games she's present in. She also makes a sound cue, and it's her giant ass, fat, rusty ass clanker feet stomping directly in your ear. When you hear her coming, shortly after, you will actually see her walking through your office, which is just fucking awesome. I can't even lie. I love this. She will always walk from the right side to the left side of your office, and she won't attack you when she's in your office, which I personally find to be really weird because why doesn't she just kill you? She already made it into your office. Like, dude, you won. Come get me, bro. I lose. What you really have to do is just make sure that your left door isn't closed by the time she gets over to it. You seriously have to let her walk all the way through your office. If she bumps her big, fat, juicy bird ass into your door, only then will she actually kill you. So, if you haven't found the strategy yet because you're blind, deaf, or retarded, just hold the door closed the entire night unless Chica is walking through the office. However, we still have another little poop goblin to talk about. That, of course, being Carl, who is incredibly easy to deal with. Occasionally, he will appear on your desk and start spinning around in circles. All you have to do is click on him and he'll go away. If you somehow manage to die to Carl, you should attempt a backflip off the roof of your house just to see what happens. Carl is simple, literally the most non-threatening character in this entire game. All right, on to the post-night minigame, which is pretty much exactly the same as the first. Once again, we're playing Whack-A-Bonnie and we need 35 points. However, this time around, we actually have a threat that can end the run early. That being, once again, Poop Goblin Carl. Carl will slowly make his way all the way down the arcade cabinet. I guess when he reaches the bottom, he shuts it off or something. I really have no idea, I can't lie. But let's just imagine that's what happens. All you have to do is click him to keep him away. If he reaches the bottom, the minigame ends early and you don't get to skip the first 2 hours of night 3. Speaking of night 3,
How'd it go, Susie? Did you get him? Not yet, Miss Cassie. But I got the perfect plan. I walk into the office, and that's it. I'm sure to give him a heart attack eventually. Gabe, you gotta help us out here.
Well, I don't know.
Please, Gabe? We could really use an extra hand.
All right, I'll give it a shot.
Thank you, Gabe.
Okay, here I go.
Gabe, wrong suit.
Oops, sorry.
Oh boy, I better go help him out. Gabe can be a real nervous Nelly when he's the center of attention.
This could actually work. You two just keep doing what you're doing.
Sir, yes, ma'am.
night 3 opens with the tip, hide when he is close. Not really liking the sound of that, in all honesty. So how about we just learn which threat is introduced tonight? Well, spoiler alert, both Freddy and Foxy are introduced on night 3, bringing the total character count already up to 5, which is just really the worst feeling on the face of the earth. And it's on this night where the game actually starts to become a challenge, because up to this point, it's been incredibly piss easy. Let's start by talking about Foxy, since he's undoubtedly the easiest to deal with out of the two. Foxy can only attack your left door, probably because that's the one that actually has a fucking door on it. He has 2 sound cues that can play. One of them is very loud and sounds like a crowded train station for some reason, and the other is quiet as shit. However, I still don't think you'll actually ever miss it, so you should be Bing chilling. That's a little bit of Chinese for you guys. Shout out to all my Chinese senoritas. I know that's Spanish, but fuck you, I don't know Chinese at all. Foxy sits his fat ass in Pirate's Cove, if you can imagine that, and as far as I'm aware, looking at him on the cameras doesn't stall him, so don't even bother doing that. Not that you'd want to, since I'm willing to bet that you could probably contract scurvy just by looking at this guy, since he'll suck all the vitamin C out of your dick. Body! I meant body. Shut up. Now Freddy. Oh boy. Freddy is by far one of the most confusing characters in this entire game. Learning how he actually worked took me an embarrassingly long time, but we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're just going to talk about how you're actually supposed to deal with him. The game tells you that you need to hide from Freddy, but it literally never once tells you what hiding actually means. I'm getting flashbacks to the last 2 games I covered, guys, because what do you mean this game isn't telling me something again? It's okay. I've managed to settle the demon. Let's continue. Freddy will slowly move throughout the cameras until he reaches the dreaded camera 6. Dreaded camera 6 is the final camera he'll go to before he enters your office and slaps his penis in between your butt cheeks. You can slow him down from reaching your office by staring at him on the cameras. However, you'll never actually be able to push him backwards. So in all honesty, I would really just recommend you let him attack you. Once he actually does attack you, we still have to answer the question of what the fuck hiding actually means. Well, let me tell you, it's really fucking stupid, and I hate it. When we're looking at the cameras, we're actually turned around. It's not like most FNAF games where we pull up a camera. We physically turn around, and the camera system is behind us. By turning around and shutting off the power, this is what hiding actually is. Does the game ever tell you that this is what hiding is? Fucking of course not, because that would make too much sense. Let's just make the player guess instead. Fuck them, right? you'll be able to see Freddy walk through your office. And once he leaves, you can turn the power back on and continue the night as usual. But I'll be so honest, the amount of time I spent trying to figure out what the fuck to do when Freddy attacks is embarrassing. Strategy for this night isn't honestly too bad. Really just do what you've been doing, listen for Foxy sound cues, and every few seconds just turn around to watch and stall Freddy. And of course, hide when you need to. Not a huge problem once you actually know what to do. The problem is just figuring out what the fuck you need to do. The post-night minigame on night 3 is once again the same as before, just with a little something extra to spice it up, like when I purposefully don't put on deodorant before a 12-hour flight. Just gotta keep things interesting. This time, the extra addition is Bonnie being behind you trying to butt-fuck your pussy. Every once in a while, you'll have to turn around and flash him to prevent him from doing exactly that. If you still manage to win, skipping 2 hours of night 4 is what's in store for you. And speaking of night 4...
Anything?
Sorry, Cass. No dice yet.
How about you, Gabe?
I kind of froze up. Sorry, Cassie.
It's all right, Gabe. We'll get the run-up on him eventually.
Speaking of, where's Fritz?
Frackum. Gosh darn.
What's the matter, Mr. Fritz?
It's that stupid door. I can't get past that darn thing.
Well, did you try the other hall?
No, I didn't. What?
Fritz, you know there's 2 hallways, right?
Eh?
Look.
Oh my gosh. Okay, new plan. I'll stall the guard as long as I can. You guys just keep doing what you're doing.
All right, fellas, you heard the man. You got it.
Okay, Cassie.
Where am I?
Night 4 gives a tip that Foxy can go to any camera. Why are we being told this when all Foxy does is attack your door? Well, guess what? Night 4 is where this game really starts to become hell on earth and makes me want to jerk off no lotion with sandpaper glued to my hand. So let's just talk about it. This night doesn't introduce a new threat. However, it does rework how Foxy attacks you entirely and makes him by far the most frustrating piece of shit, bullshit, dick-ass character in this entire goddamn game. This is the night where Foxy becomes an eye slut. And if any of you aren't familiar with the channel, an eye slut is a term I coined to reference a character in a FNAF game whose entire mechanic is just having to stare at them the entire time, and that's literally it. Easily one of the worst dynamics in a FNAF game, and here we are dealing with it. Foxy will slowly peer out of Pirate's Cove like usual, and just like the previous night, staring at him does not stall him like it does for Freddy. Once Foxy leaves the cove, instead of going to your door like he did in night 3, he instead does something so fucking heinously disgusting it makes me want to vomit down a water slide, race it to the bottom, and catch it all in my mouth, only to vomit again. Once Foxy leaves the cove, he will teleport to a random fucking camera with no sound cue whatsoever, and you have to go fucking find him. Are you kidding me? Are you fingering my butthole right now? What is wrong with your game? Why did you have to do this to me? This is actually so bullshit. And you want to hear the best part? Yeah. Well, once you find him and stare at him until he goes away, he'll teleport to another random fucking camera again. And once you find him there, he fucking does it again! No, I'm not kidding! And the most fucked up part, after you find him for the 3rd goddamn cock-sucking time, there is a chance that you'll have to go find him for a 4th time! Holy fucking shit! I'm gonna put a balloon in my urethra and blow it up until it pops! You've gotta be fucking me in my ass! This is so fucking retarded. And you're telling me he makes no sound cues either? This is actually the most heinous, disgusting, degradable dog shit I've ever seen in my entire life. You thought Mario from Late Shift at Nintendo World was bad? Holy shit! You are not even close to ready for this piece of fuck shit. And I'm not even done yet with how bullshit this mechanic really is. Foxy can teleport to the same camera multiple times in one cycle, which means, oh, you find him on camera 3, then he's in camera 6.
and then fuck it. Guess what? Now he's back at camera 3. Are you literally raping me right now? Because that's legitimately what it feels like. We need an HR department because I need to file a fucking complaint for sexual harassment 4 times in a row now. All while you have Freddy also trying to vacuum your butthole inside out. This is fucking ridiculous. This is actually the most upset I've ever been playing a FNAF game before. When I learned this is what Foxy did, I got so reasonably upset, I literally stopped playing it over on my second channel, Dxtr Black. Holy shit, you have no idea how much I was fuming. It was insane. You could have cooked a fucking egg on my forehead. I was so hot and boiling with rage, you don't fucking understand. I want to give you a strategy, but this really just turns into the fucking Foxy game. I guess I could say watch camera 4 the entire night, since Freddy goes through it so you can watch for Foxy leaving and stall Freddy at the same time. But I can give you, because this just turns the game into an RNG fuckfest. But if you manage to beat it, fucking somehow, then we can move on to the post-night minigame. The post-night minigame on night 4 is identical to night 3, no additional mechanics. However, you will notice that Bonnie has taken 16 Adderall and some heroin because he's become the fastest motherfucker on Earth. It's not hard to deal with, just a little bit shocking. Just check behind you once every 2 seconds or so, which is insane to say by the way, and you should be completely fine and able to skip the first 2 hours of my fucking nightmare, night 5.
Let me guess. You guys didn't get him? Oh. Then what happened?
I forgot what I was gonna say.
Did you guys get him?
No.
Oh.
We can't let him get away! Not now! Fritz, how do these suits work?
If your body's stuffed into a certain suit, you can control it.
And Jeremy, where did you find me when I woke up?
In parts and service. Why?
'Cause I've got a plan. Susie, you check for any spare costumes in the back. Everyone else, hop in your suits and follow me. One suit, Miss Cassie. Thanks, Susie. Jeremy, where'd you find my body?
Right over there, under those trash bags.
All right. Now I want someone to take my body and stuff it into that costume.
Cassie, are you sure about that? These things are pretty hard to control, let alone jump right into.
Fritz, trust me, I've got a plan.
Well, I ought to tell you, Cassie, you were kinda a mess when I found you.
I've seen a lot. I think I can manage.
All right, Gabe, put the goods in the suit.
Okay, just close your eyes. Okay, you can look now.
I want you guys to try taking that jerk out one more time. If you can't get him by sunrise, then it's my turn.
Cass, do you even know what you're doing?
Don't worry, Jeremy, I'll figure it out. Besides, I've seen enough monster pictures to know how to scare someone. Now's your chance, guys. Go get him. This is for them.
Oh my fucking God. Night 5. The night that takes the RNG and just says, fuck it. Let's crank it up even more because our player doesn't actually want to have fun playing a FNAF game. No, they obviously want the hardest piece of media of all time and for their neck to get bent 85 degrees like Chris Chan's penis. Night 5 seriously takes the difficulty of these characters and cranks it up so astronomically high, you will honestly think it's a different game you're playing. This game is so insane, I can't even describe it to you. These characters attack you so goddamn fast, you quite literally have no breathing room throughout the entirety of the night. But the worst part, truly the part that will make you pour hours of attempts into this night, is once again fucking Foxy, because for some reason they decided to change up his attack again. For some reason, God only knows what, once you hit 5 a.m. during night 5, Foxy will decide to use both of his attacks.
Why? Because fuck you and your father in the face. That's why. If you happen to get attacked by both Bonnie and Foxy at the same time, you quite literally cannot do anything to prevent a loss. You just lose. And losing at 5 a.m. when you've had a night so fucking blood boiling, stressful, and chaotic is one of the worst feelings on the planet we call home. This night is actually just RNG. I've gotten so many comments telling me that it isn't, but nobody can actually explain to me why. Fuck all of you. This night is complete RNG. There's a lot of skill involved, don't get me wrong, but Foxy's main mechanic and his dick-ass synergy with Bonnie at 5 a.m. is quite literally just RNG and nothing else. No amount of skill can make you win when they decide to attack you at the same time. It is not possible. You do not have enough time to deal with Foxy before Bonnie skull fucks you, and you do not have enough time to get rid of Bonnie before Foxy uses you as a toy. It is just not possible, and this night is fucking bullshit. I don't even want to keep talking about it. The strategy is the same as night 4. Stare at camera 4 to stall Freddy and watch Foxy, and just hope to fucking God that once 5 a.m. hits, that Bonnie doesn't decide that now is just the perfect time to attack. And with that, there's no post-night minigame because we just move right into Hell Incarnate, night 6. Holy shit. That was really cool. I'm not even gonna lie. But here we are, night 6, this game's boss fight night. And I'll be completely honest, out of all of the boss fight nights I've played, which trust me, doing this for a living is a lot, this is by far the most difficult boss fight night I have ever played in my entire life. There is only one threat on this night, that being Cassie herself as Yellin' Bear. I'm just gonna call her Cassie though, since that takes a lot less time to write, and I get the feeling I'm gonna be writing it a lot. Cassie has 6 possible fucking attacks that she can do. I'm not fucking with you. 6 attacks in one character. And this bitch is fast, like lightning, like Usain Bolt. Like how quickly I scream after peeing hot boiling water because I slept with the trampy girl everyone warned me about. This night is all skill. You need to be fast and you need to be precise or it's completely GG. Let's start with the most basic attack, and really the only one that has any RNG at all. She's an eye slut. Hooray! She will throughout the night randomly teleport to a plethora of cameras. All you have to do is constantly make sure your camera is on her and that you're actively watching her. If not, she's gonna butter you like a biscuit, and this bitch loves biscuits. The second attack is just what Foxy should have stayed. You'll be able to hear a sound cue indicating that she's running down your left hall. Quickly turn around and hold the door closed and she'll dive into it like I dive into man ass. Pause. Why the fuck did I write that? And then of course, you'll be able to open the door again. Her third attack is something we haven't seen yet. Throughout the game, you've been able to see 3 large portraits in our office. That middle one will become super important on this night. Occasionally, the big portrait will move throughout the night. When you see it move, you'll have to turn the power off and turn away like with the Freddy attack. This forces you to constantly stop looking at the eye slut on your cameras, which makes her very fucking angry. But like, bro, just stop with the fucking picture and I won't look away. You're causing your own fucking problem, bro! Her fourth attack is simple. She just uses her top hat to act like Carl on your desk. Whoopity dick. Just click on it and it won't kill you. However, just like Carl, while the top hat is super easy to deal with, it's by far one of the easiest things to forget, and is just as annoying as getting my big fat balls stuck in my zipper. Her fifth attack just has her start doing some Looney Tunes ass crazy shit because fuck it, why not? On the sides of your screen, she'll somehow spawn the fucking jaws of life and they'll start closing in on you. As if there wasn't enough during this night to stop you from playing the game, these jaws add to just that heaping pile of fuck, forcing you to move your mouse to either side of the screen and click and hold to stop them from eating you. There is seriously so much in this night that takes away from the main goal of watching her on the cameras. It's insane. And her final attack doesn't make her much better whatsoever. Who would have thought? The final attack is literally just fucking annoying with no other purpose. Cassie can randomly switch which camera you're looking at to whichever one she wants to force you to stop looking at her. Meaning that if you don't catch her doing this while you're worried about the fucking hat, the fucking door, the fucking portrait, or the fucking jaws, she will sneak into your rectum and wreak havoc. This night is incredibly difficult. However, it is pretty much all skill. Lock in, hold your breath, stay consistent. If at any point you're not actively doing something during this night, then you will lose. This is a busy night and you need to stay busy the whole time. But if you can manage to keep your cool for long enough, this happens.
What? What? Stupid Unca Chunk!
Hey, Cass, did you give him the axe?
No! And now we'll never, ever get our chance! Now all we got left of him is his dumb name card!
That wasn't his name.
What?
I can't remember it, but his name definitely wasn't Charlie.
Wait! It's coming back to me! Vance? No! Victor? Huh, it's on the back of my mind!
You're telling me. Look!
So, we almost killed a completely innocent man!
But we didn't! No harm, no foul.
Yeah, I guess that's true. Plus, I got some spiffy new duds.
Okay, now let's get out of here. I'm sick of looking at this stupid office.
Hey, where'd everybody go?
Hey, Gabe?
Yeah, Cassie?
Listen. Thank you guys for going through with my harebrained plan. Sorry I wasn't the right guy.
Don't worry about it. It's all right.
I'm gonna find him, though. I'm gonna get the fellow who did this, so you guys can be happy.
Cass, don't worry about that. I've got the others. Now we've got you. We're as happy as we need to be.
Thank you, Gabe.
So yeah, turns out they were attacking an innocent man for no fucking reason other than the fact that kids are stupid. I've been saying this for years, bro. All the more reason to never have one. There is one last small thing I want to talk about. After beating the game, you can go into Charlie's house and read a note from his daughter stating the following.
Yo, Daddy. Mommy told me that you're going to pick me up after school. I can't wait for my birthday tonight. I love you.
Stupid fucking kid can't spell properly. Well, whatever. I'm finally done. But as far as I'm aware, that's all 5 Newfangled Nights has to offer. Overall, I actually love this game. Of course, I hate Foxy and Night 5 is complete RNG bullshit, but the art style, the humor, the sound design, everything is actually really, really good, and I really like it. And of course, I had a lot of fun dubbing the cutscenes. I hope you guys enjoyed those. Links to the actors and actresses are in the description. Everything about this game is just so charming, except Foxy. It almost feels like a Cuphead meets FNAF type game, and I really like it. Typically, when speaking about Five Nights at Freddy's games, a large part of the conversation ends up being about the lore of said game. And as I'm sure you all know, the stories of these games are usually incredibly dark, filled with murder, betrayal, and torment. However, not the game we're talking about today. In this video, we'll be talking about Chica's Party World Rebaked, one of, if not the most wholesome FNAF game I've ever played. From cute visuals, fun characters, all the way to a story that has nothing to do with dead children at all. There's a lot to unpack in this super fun experience, so join me today as we arch our backs into the world of Chica's Party World Rebaked. Chica's Party World does something before each night that I actually think is really cool. We get a task to complete, and we can explore and wander around the building before starting each night. So at 11 p.m., night 1 begins. In this game, we actually play as a robot security guard, not a human, which is adorable. I like to imagine our character looking like Rufus from Secret of the Mimic. Not that that's his canon name or anything, that's just what I chose to call him. It's our job as Rufus to keep watch over the entire restaurant using our built-in surveillance system. So our first task is to visit every single room in the building. This is when we get a chance to move through each room like a shadow over Freddy's. You'll notice that the building is incredibly dark. This would be because the lights are off and being able to see anything does require light. So luckily for us, Rufus has been equipped with an LED that can briefly flash light to shine up the room. After using it, you'll have to wait a few seconds while the LED recharges to be able to flash again. We can explore every single room in the building. That is, except for one. If you are to enter the kitchen, you'll see there's a metal door. Hovering over it won't tell you what room is on the other side, and you'll be completely unable to interact with it. But after you finish exploring, we're ready to jump into the night section and start talking about the tools at our disposal. At the beginning of the night, we're able to detect a corrupted voicemail on Rufus. Listening to it, we hear an unnamed woman talking about one of the characters, Russell. Russell is Freddy, by the way. Not totally sure why he's given a different name in this game, but we'll roll with it. The lady says that Russell is very sensitive to bright lights, and that the people taking pictures of him with the flash on during the day disorients him, and it almost seems to physically hurt him. And because of this, he's always trying to go somewhere where the people aren't around. Before she can say much else, the voicemail becomes corrupted and ends. As I'm sure you could have guessed, Russell is the only threat introduced on this night. However, before we talk about how he works, we should talk about the tools at our disposal. To start, the office has two main directions you can be attacked from, the door and the vent behind you. We'll talk about the vent when it becomes important later, so let's just focus on the door. You'll notice that the door, well, has no door. So if anything walks up to our office, we'll have to use something else to keep them away. And that thing we'll need to use is that trusty LED we talked about earlier. You can flash your LED down the hallway to allow you to see if anyone is creeping around. Of course, since we're a security robot, we have remote access to all of the cameras in the building, and we can use them as fucking cameras. I don't know what you want from me, it's a FNAF game, bro. There's cameras, who would have thought? Russell is a pretty simple character overall. He'll wander around the various cameras in an attempt to get to your office. Look at that fucking hat, big ass hat, dude. It's such a big hat. Where did you get a hat so big? Where did you get that big of a hat? Once you know he's in your doorway, flash your LED at him and he'll go away. Now, this may bring up the question, if you can't literally see him in your doorway without flashing, how are you supposed to know he's there? Well, that question has a very simple answer. All you have to do is use the fucking cameras that you have at your disposal. Follow Russell around, and when he disappears and you're unable to find him on any camera, then congrats, he's probably at your door and you should flash him. However, later in the game, I'll tell you about a different strategy I developed for dealing with Russell, because he has an incredibly difficult synergy with another character we'll talk about later. But before we move on, I want to mention this game's art style because it is really unavoidable. This is easily the most unique FNAF art style I've ever seen. It's so low poly and brightly colored, but in no way does it look like those shitty copy and paste PSX horror games that are plastered all over itch and make it impossible for any indie developer to stand out. Please, for the love of God, stop making PSX horror games. Do something unique. Please. Fuck. But seriously, the pastel color palette is super different from a FNAF game, a genre where dark, I don't know where the fuck I am is kind of the norm. I can really appreciate when developers try something different, and I think this game nailed it perfectly. 11 p.m. night 2, and we're given a new task. One of the wires in Rufus's arm went to shit, so we'll have to repair it before the night begins. And with that, we're off to find something to fix ourselves. Before we talk about how to actually complete the task, we should bring up that, of course, this game has two endings, a bad ending and the true ending. I will be going over the true ending in this video because, no shit, that's the ending that actually means something. During every 11 p.m. section aside from the first, there will be something hidden around the building for us to find. Finding all of them will result in us achieving the true ending, and in Night 2's 11 p.m. segment, if you travel into the arcade, you can find a letter of termination from a woman named Heather Gray. It reads, "Dear Heather Gray, your employment with Chica's Party World will be officially terminated on June 21st, 2023. Reasons for termination include frequent disrespect of superiors, threats of violence. You will not be allowed to work tomorrow by any means, so make sure to collect your belongings today. Please remember to also review our confidentiality agreement as you are under an NDA and will not be allowed to disclose company trade secrets as well as practices and methods of operation. Chica's Party World is entitled to take legal action if you are caught violating these terms both before and after employment. Review of benefits to include health coverage of 401k in compliance with COBRA. Chica's Party World extends to eligible employees and their enrolled dependencies with the right to continue healthcare plan coverage for a specified period of time at their own expense and at full cost. Return of property. Please list and return any property of Chica's Party World that you may have in your possession. In addition, please provide any passwords and other information pertaining to accessing computer software and/or files.
Your last paycheck will be received on June 21st, 2023. We wish you the best of luck in finding new employment, and we hope your experience has not been as regrettable as ours. Good luck. That last line is actually brutal as fuck. If I got this letter from an employer and they threw in that jab at the end, I'd probably just kill myself, bro. Heather Gray got fucking smoked so bad it's insane. I should also mention that Rufus claims he doesn't remember meeting this person, but that the name is familiar to him, which is interesting. Anyways, on to how to actually fix Rufus's boo-boo. If you head to the backstage, you'll be able to find some electrical tape. We use it to patch up our frayed wire and move our way back to the office to begin the night. The voicemail we're able to listen to on night 2 does give us some interesting information. The woman mentions how Top Hat, the Tiny Bonnie character, has been hiding in the vents and getting himself stuck. I find it interesting that these robots seem to be trying to hide away from the people in the building. The lady mentions that she spoke with Top Hat, and it's clear during this phone call that while these voicemails were being recorded, this lady was with somebody else at the time, and she mentions to this someone that they're giving her a weird look when she says that she talked to Top Hat.
I did talk to Top Hat about why he's... Yes, I talked to him. Don't give me that look.
Okay, Jesus fuck, sorry. But before she can elaborate more, the voicemail cuts out. I think this is pretty interesting. It seems like this lady has some sort of connection to some, if not all, of these robots. I wonder who she could be. Anyways, obviously Top Hat is the threat introduced on this night. And in all honesty, he's not a big hassle at all. As the voicemail would suggest, Top Hat really likes the vent behind you. So that's where he'll try to attack you from. He'll meander around the cameras, hop into the vent, and hop bottom straight towards your office. Now, I don't know if you guys know anything about vents, but I happen to know a thing or two about them. I happen to know that crawling around an vent makes a lot of noise. That's why I have that one breaking and entering charge. Needless to say, I think she heard me in there. But that's not important. What is important is that you can also hear Top Hat when he's in your vent and about to attack you. When you hear him approaching, all you have to do is turn around and hold the vent door closed until you hear him bang on it like Foxy. Afterwards, you can reopen the vent. As of now, with only 2 threats attacking us, not much has changed from night 1. Just follow Russell around the cameras to know when he's in your doorway, and if you ever hear Top Hat in the vent, close that sucker and you'll be home free and ready to dive into night 3. Night 3, 11 p.m. time has finally arrived, and with it, a new task for us to complete. Rufus is having troubles connecting to the cameras, so figures the power may have been cut. Solving this problem is pretty easy. All we have to do is go into the dining area and reboot it. Simple sugar. However, as I'm sure you could have guessed, we have another piece of lore to discover as well. Remember that door in the kitchen that we couldn't interact with earlier? Well, after fixing the power, Rufus mentions that he hears something on the other side and goes to investigate. Upon doing so, we hear this.
I hear something coming from the doorway. Perhaps I should investigate.
No, we have to do this, Russell.
I know, but couldn't we just, I don't know, talk to them? Maybe they're friendly.
As much as I would like that, I don't think we have that option right now. We only have a few days left. Look, let's just keep trying for now. If we can't get through to them and it gets desperate, I'll take things into my own hands.
Well, Lowbite's helping tonight, right? Her temper's been nasty lately, but maybe she'll be able to get to them.
Oh, I can only hope. For the sake of all of us.
I should return to my station.
Well, apparently these animatronics are a bit more intelligent than they were led to believe. Russell was talking to an unnamed person about Lolbite joining us tonight, so we already know who the threat is going to be. If I had to guess who this person was talking to is, I'd probably say it's Chica, because that just makes sense. Anyways, let's go to the office. The voicemail we heard on this night is pretty interesting. The lady is talking about Lolbite, who apparently used to be called Tangle. However, when this is mentioned, she said that, quote, she wants to be called Lolbite now, end quote, which would imply that Lolbite told her this. She said that Lolbite is trying to be on her best behavior after what happened, so I can only assume that Tangle probably did some Bite of 87 style shit and now wants to be better, but I can't be sure. Obviously, Lolbite is the new threat introduced on this night, and she is bad news bears for our current strategy. While Lolbite moves around the cameras, her aggression will increase because you're not watching her. To make her anger go down, obviously all you have to do is follow her around the cameras and watch her. If it goes up all the way, you can guess what happens. Dead.
Why is she such a problem for our current strategy? Well, of course, we're watching Russell all night right now, so adding a character that forces us to watch them is obviously going to be a pretty large problem. So, how did I change my strategy to prepare for this? Well, let me tell you. You know how we were watching Russell? Yeah? Well, I'm just gonna not do that anymore. I know, I'm a genius. All of my time on the cameras will now be poured into Lullbite, and at every opportunity I get to flash the hall with the LED, I will. Flash the hall, watch Lullbite until it recharges, instantly flash again. And of course, close the vent when I need to. Does this lead to needing to have luck with Russell? Yes, but it's also a lot easier on my poor little goblin brain. Oh yeah, I also lied because one other threat is introduced on this night. Coraline, Chica's cupcake. Very simple mechanic. Every once in a while she will appear on a camera and you will have to go find her. I want to die, I want to see one FNAF game without finding them on the cameras. That would be amazing. Anyways, when you find her, flash her, and if you don't, she's gonna fuck up your cameras and it'll be GG for you. Night 4, 11 p.m. That is what time and what night we are currently about to be speaking about. Anyways, the task on this night requires us to investigate a large crashing sound we heard in the building. But before we do that, oh hey look, a note on the table. On it shows a bunch of phrases scratched out with Gears Weld being circled. If I had to guess, Gears Weld is probably the name of a company that builds robots, perhaps animatronics. Continuing with our task, heading to the arcade will reveal that Top Hat is just chilling in the ball pit. Oh.
I won't tell you what to do.
Carry
on.
Carry on. That's not, I like that. I like that. Top Hat's playing around. Playing around in there. After a short interaction with him, he dives back inside, and with our task completed, we head back to the office to be the night. There is one threat introduced on this night, and this is Silver Chicken, or as was originally going to be called, Spring Chica. She acts as more of a hallucination than anything you actually have to be worried about. And in fact, during this night's phone call, the lady mentions how she stopped programming its AI the moment that whoever she was speaking to told her to. So we can assume that she's been talking to her boss throughout this game. The way Silver Chicken works is pretty simple. She will randomly appear on the cameras like Phantom Balloon Boy from FNAF 3. Stare at her too long and she'll have intercourse with all of your tools, and the only way to avoid her is to obviously just not look at the camera she's on for too long. This brings up synergy with Lullbite, since you will be switching through cameras a lot trying to find her, but overall, Silver Chicken really isn't that much of an issue at all. Night 5, 11 p.m. Back to the coal mines for us. During this section, our task is pretty easy, and is technically the exact same as the wire fraying task. Our LED is broken and we need to find a replacement. Just like the wire task, head to the back room and install the new bulb and it's GG. The only difference in this task is that you obviously can't flash your LED while walking around the building until you replace it. However, before we head to the office, near the entrance of the building we can hear the phone ringing. Curious, we walk over to it, and when we answer the phone, we hear the following call.
Chica, there you are. Are you guys almost ready? I should be headed down in the next few hours. Make sure you have everyone with you when I get there.
Who is this? I suppose she had the wrong number.
Well, this is interesting. Clearly the person on the other end of the phone assumed that only Chica would answer it, hanging up immediately after hearing Rufus's voice. She says she's on her way, so who knows what that could mean. There's only one way to find out, and to do so, we first have to beat Night 5. I don't even want to explain the Night 5 voicemail to you. I think you'll enjoy it a lot more if you just hear it for yourself.
You wanna fire me? Fine. You can silence me, silence every single person who tells you the truth, but it doesn't stop it from being real. These machines are alive. You can argue all you want, they don't think, they don't feel, but no ordinary robot would ever show more compassion than you have as a leader. They're smarter than you think, I promise you that. You can't keep them here forever, and if they want out, they'll find a way to make it happen. And all things considered, I'm glad I won't have to be working for you when it happens. Sick.
So it's confirmed. These robots are alive and they want to leave. And come to think of it, the girl in these voicemails sure sounds a lot like the girl we just heard on the phone who said she's coming this way, and she was fired. I wonder if she's not coming to take these robots away. Before we can figure that out, we first have to talk about the final threat this game introduces, the main attraction herself, Chica. Something I quickly want to mention is how fucking groovy the music is on night 5. I wouldn't call this night a boss fight night, but the music really makes it feel like one. Chica works very similarly to Russell, except she is much harder to track on the cameras. If you ever find Chica on the cameras, she will quickly jump into the blind spot of the camera to prevent you from seeing her. So while you do know which camera she's on, when she hides, it'll be impossible to tell if she's there, which I think, while annoying, is really cool. It shows how intelligent these robots are. Her goal is to get to your door like Russell, except where when Russell reaches the crossroads, aka this T-shaped part in your cameras, he will immediately show up at your door. Not Chica. Chica will jump between the left and right cameras of the crossroads and at random jump into your doorway. So you most certainly will have to try your best to keep an eye on her. Once she enters your doorway, just like Russell, flash her with the LED and she'll go away. And if you can hold your nerves together for long enough, you'll beat night 5, and if you've collected all of the secrets during the 11 p.m. sections, we'll get this final cutscene. Through the past nights you've spent here, something starts to click in place within you. These robots aren't just company property like you have been told to believe. These are people. Perhaps they may not walk and talk and breathe the same way that humans do, but there is no less still a sense of kinship, a sense of living. You aren't as different as you were told to think. As you wander out of your station, you see them start to leave. One by one, the animatronics start to make their way out of the broken entrance doorway, aided by someone on the outside. You tap on the shoulder of Chica from behind, the last one to go out of the door, giving her a small jolt of surprise.
What? Oh, it's you.
It's by no means an unwarranted reaction, that of shock and a hint of disdain. You can't blame her too much. They reprogrammed you specifically to hinder her. I want to come with you, you say, much to her surprise as well. In fact, she seems rather speechless at the statement, but it no longer seems to be in spite. The silence is broken by their ally peeking in through the doorway, reaffirming the escape.
Chica, we need to go.
An equally stunned silence when she lays eyes upon you. Though her face is covered by a mask, you can still see her glasses and hair.
Well, I suppose you'll need to make room for one more.
Chica states. You know that voice. It's the voice you heard over the recordings. It's the voice of the person who constructed you. Your thoughts are interrupted by the pressure of a hug. It feels like overheating, but different.
Call me Heather. Let's get you home.
From this day forward, you were no longer a tool for a company that cared little for your existence. Instead, you fight for a new life alongside your newfound friends. You disconnected yourself from the mainframe, taking all previous security footage alongside you. You're going home. The news surrounding the incident states that no leads have been uncovered due to the substantial lack of evidence regarding the stolen property. All databases have been completely wiped, and most trails lead to dead ends. Chica's party world shows no sign of reopening in the near future. So, there we go. Undoubtedly the most wholesome ending to a FNAF game I've ever seen in my life. An ending with no death, no betrayal, just some lost robots wanting to leave the establishment they were trapped in, and an employee who actually cared about them helping to achieve that. We get the reveal that Rufus was made by Heather, and even in this moment she was able to allow him to come with, even knowing his original purpose. Chica's party world gave these animatronics feelings and true character, even in these final moments really making you care about them, even after being attacked by them for so long. This game's story is incredible. It's so simple and easy to follow, yet is in all honesty one of, if not my favorite story ever told by a FNAF game I've ever seen throughout my FNAF career. Overall, Chica's Party World is one of the most enjoyable FNAF experiences I've ever had. From the fun and engaging gameplay loop, all the way to the aforementioned phenomenal story and storytelling of Poisonous Pastels, incredible work. And if you'd like to hear another piece of interesting information about this game, Avocado Dreams was one of the main developers of it. No matter where I go, and no matter what I talk about, every time I really enjoy a FNAF game for any reason, it seems like Avocado Dreams had something to do with it, and I'm all for it. Please go give this game a try and show it some love. You will not regret it.
One of my favorite genres of games is roguelikes. I also, as I'm sure you could have guessed, really like Five Nights at Freddy's games. I've only built a whole career off of it, so I'm sure you could have figured that out. So I bet you can imagine my pleasant surprise when I was told that there was a Five Nights at Freddy's game that was also a roguelike. The moment I learned of this, I downloaded it as fast as I could and started filming videos because I just knew even before playing it that it was going to be getting a Dxtr White video, and here we are now. You guys know what game I'm talking about. You can see the length of this video. I very clearly like this game a lot. So sit back, relax, and join me as we dive into the chaotic world of Too Many Nights. Unlike most FNAF games, Too Many Nights doesn't follow any storyline or the typical FNAF formula. Instead, it acts as an endless minigame that doesn't stop until you fail. Although I'm sure you already knew that considering everyone on Earth has played a roguelike before. At the start of each run, you will get to pick a character, of which there are many. Each character gives you a different set of abilities, with each having a list of pro and cons. You don't start with all of them and will have to gradually unlock them by doing specific tasks. I'll go over them in a bit. After picking a character, you will have to select 3 animatronics to put into the pizzeria. And this is where this game gets brilliant. You get to choose 3 animatronics yourself. The game will never choose them for you, and your initial choices will be random at the start of each run. However, if you really don't like your starting options, you can press R to re-roll your first pick as much as you'd like. As I'm sure you could have guessed, there are several animatronics in Too Many Nights. Each has a unique mechanic, and it will be up to you to plan out which animatronics you bring along, and control how they will be forced to interact with each other. Each animatronic falls into a certain category. You have your door animatronics, your camera animatronics, your mask animatronics, your vent animatronics, your flashlight animatronics, and what I'm going to call your nuisance animatronics. Each of these categories serves its own purpose, and generally speaking, picking multiple animatronics from the same category will make your gameplay experience easier. Before I really start talking about the characters, I'd like to explain the rest of the experience of a run. To start, after selecting your first 3 animatronics, the run will begin. After completing a night, you will be forced to add 1 new character. Every few nights, you will also be forced to add a penalty. These penalties fall into 2 categories: your general penalties and your character penalties. I'll dive into each of these later as well. After selecting a penalty, you may get the chance to go to the shop and buy some items. Throughout the night, you will gain Faz coins from successfully defending yourself from the animatronics. Once again, I will get into these items later. Keep repeating this process until you eventually die, and boom, that's the gameplay loop of Too Many Nights. Of course, that was a very oversimplified explanation. So now we're going to dive into each of the animatronics, how they work, and to keep it interesting, I'll even throw each character into a tier list so that you can all argue about it in the comments. I'm just going to go down the list that appears on the wiki, and be prepared, there are a lot of animatronics. Editor, I'd say I'm sorry for what you're about to have to do, but that would be a lie. Let's go. Freddy is a camera animatronic, aka my personal least favorite type of animatronic. Freddy will start on stage and make his way towards your right door. All you have to do is occasionally stare at him on the cameras to make him go backwards. I'm sure you can guess why I'm not going to like a majority of these camera animatronics. If he ever reaches your door, he will never leave and you'll be forced to keep it closed for the rest of the night or die. Freddy also has 5 penalties that have the option to be chosen when you have to select a penalty. The first is Mad Freddy, which will make you have to look at Freddy longer to make him go backwards. His second penalty is Branched, which gives him a chance to be able to attack your left door as well. And when you're playing this game, you will very quickly fall into a pattern, so having a character be able to switch up on you like this would very obviously throw you off. Stare Down is another Freddy penalty. This one is horrific. It makes Freddy never move backwards. Staring at him will only stall him. However, to compensate, he moves a lot slower, and the camera doesn't have to be up for you to be able to stall him. Invisifreddy is a penalty that I'm sure you could take a solid guess at what it does. That's right, it makes him fucking invisible. Isn't that great? Sure, a sound cue is added to his movements, but fuck that. That just sounds like AIDS. Finally, we have Nuh-uh, a penalty that's just so silly. When Freddy gets to your door, he will prevent the door from ever closing again throughout the rest of the night. Isn't that awesome? No, it isn't. Yeah, I know. Don't choose this one if you can help it. Overall, I'm not a fan of Freddy, but without penalties, he isn't the worst character in this game, so I'm going to give him a C tier. Bonnie is a door character, aka a character I usually like to pick. Bonnie starts on stage and makes his way to your left door. Once there, a sound cue will play and you'll have to close the door and stare at him on the camera until he goes away. Then you can open the door again. Incredibly easy character, however he does have 3 penalties. Cutting is a penalty that makes both Bonnie and Chica take shorter paths to your doors. Because of how easy both of them are to deal with, this penalty isn't too bad. Quiet steps makes Bonnie and Chica not make sound cues while at your door, so yeah, fuck that. No other words need to be said. And finally, flip side is a penalty that will make Bonnie and Chica swap doors immediately after leaving the first door. Easily the second worst penalty these two have. Speaking of Bonnie and Chica, Chica is literally identical to Bonnie, except she attacks the right door instead of the left. And because of this, and how quick I am to pick these two, I'm putting both of them in S tier. Foxy isn't the worst character I've seen, but I did avoid choosing him for a very long time. Foxy will try to leave his stage in the ticket booth. Have your camera on him to stall him. If you don't, he'll charge at your door and bang on it, and make you lose a poop sock full of power. Foxy has 3 penalties and 1 item, which is pretty cool. Insta-Foxy is a penalty that will cause Foxy to instantly start in his last phase at the start of a night. This penalty actually isn't that bad at all, just let him charge right away and it's like the penalty isn't even there anymore. Hen House is a penalty that forces the camera to be up to stall Foxy, which actually is the most cancerous thing I've ever heard of. Haywire is the final penalty, which will make him attack your other door directly after attacking the first door. The only bad part about this is that him banging on your door drains power. And the item that Foxy has is called Good Guy, which makes Foxy not a threat. Looking at him will make him progress, and when he comes to your office, he'll give you a nice little gift like a good boy. Because of how much of a non-issue he is if you balance him properly with the other characters, I'm putting him in B tier. Mangle is a vent animatronic, and she's honestly not that big of a problem. She'll move through the cameras into one of your vents. All you have to do is put your mask on when she's in a vent. She will enter the office for a short period and then leave. I personally hate having to use the mask in this game, so I try my best to avoid characters that force that, but Mangle is probably the easiest of them. Mangle does have 3 penalties. Anger management is a penalty that makes looking at Mangle speed her up. Aggressive Mangle is a penalty that makes Mangle force you to put the mask on for longer. And finally, Slithering In is a penalty that causes looking at Mangle in the vents to make her immediately appear in your office. Overall, I hate the mask mechanic. However, Mangle isn't the worst mask character in the game, so I'm giving her a C tier. Caroline, or the marionette, behaves exactly how you'd expect her to. She's a music box. Hooray! Who could have expected that? If the music box winds down, for the rest of the night she will randomly teleport to a camera with a sound cue at random intervals. You will have to find her and stare at her if you don't want her to kill you. She does, however, have a whopping 6 fucking penalties, so that's just amazing. Let's go over all of them quickly. Winding down makes you have to wind the music box for longer. Moving box makes the music box move to a random camera every time you pull the camera down. AIDS. Muted music makes her not make a sound cue when she teleports to a camera. Show Stealer gives you less time to find her while she's away from the music box. Last Stand is really ass, by the way. When it turns 6 a.m., Caroline will teleport to a random camera, and the night will only end once you find her.
Dude, there's nothing I can do about that. I can't do anything about that. That's just fucking cooked, bro. I can't do nothing about that.
And finally, the worst penalty yet, Caroline Carousel, which will make her be away from the music box the entire night. Genuinely, never pick this penalty. Caroline is definitely annoying, but in all honesty, the music box is pretty forgiving until much later nights. So, because of this, I'm only putting her in D tier. Lizzie is the first non-FNAF canon character we'll be talking about. Fun fact, there are a lot of non-canon characters, but I think that's what adds to this game's charm. Lizzie herself isn't actually the threat. She spawns down bitty buds in your office while your camera is up. Simply hold your flashlight on them and they'll disappear. If there are too many, they'll call Lizzie and she will then kill you. Lizzie has 2 different penalties as well. Speedy Bud will make the bitty buds call Lizzie to your office faster, and Help Wanted will turn the brightly colored bitty buds into dark colored plush Lizzies, which are much harder to see in the very purple office. Lizzie is one of my favorite characters to see in my runs. I love flashlight characters, and I really love office characters. So because of this, I'm giving her S tier. BB is a bitch, but I'm sure you didn't need me to tell you that. And of course, they gave him the worst mechanic of all time. At random times, he will teleport to a random camera with a sound cue.
Hello?
You will have to find which camera he's on and hold the flashlight on him. If that wasn't bad enough, his penalties make him even worse. Mute BB makes him not make a sound cue, which is actually just fucking torment. Don't pick this. I'm moving will make him teleport to a second camera after you find him the first time. Little asshole. And aggressive BB will force you to hold the light on him for longer. Literally, fuck that. I'm sure from the tone in my voice, you can tell I really don't like BB. So because of that, I'm obviously giving him an F tier. Sparky the dog is a camera character that makes me piss blood. He's in the storage room and has 4 phases he will move through before appearing in your office and forcing you to put the mask on for a decently long time. To prevent this, all you have to do is stare at him on the cameras, something I've already made clear I'm not a super huge fan of. He also has 3 penalties if your urine wasn't already red enough. Mad Sparky will force you to look at him on the cameras for longer to push him back. Sparky Speedy will make Sparky move faster, obviously. And Aggressive Sparky will make you put the mask on longer if he enters the office. I don't like camera characters. I hate the idea of staring at a character to stop them. D tier. Percy Poodle, yes, from Playtime with Percy, is easily one of the best characters in the game. Being an office flashlight animatronic, all he does is have multiple phases in front of the big office window. He'll start pounding on the glass in his final phase, and you'll then have to hold the flashlight on him to make him go back. He also only has 2 penalties, and both of them really aren't that bad. Aggressive Percy will make him only go back to his last stage the first time you deal with him, but only the first time, so who cares? And Mute Percy makes him make no sound cue when he's pounding on the glass, so just open your eyes and this won't be a problem. Percy is simple, Percy is always an easy pick, S tier. Rowan Rat, on the other hand, is actual fucking torment. At random times, he will appear in any of the 4 corners of the building. When you see him in one, shock him and he'll go away. You will also have the ability to use a radar to detect where he is and where he's going. Oh yeah, and you only have a certain number of shocks, so that's just terrible. He has 4 possible penalties, and all of them are worse than death. Aggressive Rowan gives you less time to shock him. No radar removes the fucking radar, making you constantly have to check all 4 corners yourself. Less shocks obviously gives you less shocks, as the name would suggest. And Invisi-Rowan makes him fucking invisible. Fuck that. Never in a million years am I picking that shitty option. Rowan by himself isn't the worst, but if you get any of his penalties, which will happen eventually, he becomes a nightmare. So I'm putting him in D tier. Maple is almost a good character, but because it's not the only character you'll be up against, it's hard to find it as an attractive pick. At the beginning of each night, it will require you to collect a certain amount of plushies. This number increases with its AI value. You will then have to search around the cameras for these plushies. If you don't find them all before 6 AM, it'll kill you. Amazing mechanic, but again, it's not the only one, so it's really just more of a pain in the ass. It does have 3 penalties. What are those? Well, Early Killer will have it check if you have the plushies at 5 AM rather than 6. Hidden Counter will literally just make it not tell you how many plushies you need to find, which is bullshit. And Restock will add a timer to how fast you need to find the plushies. If you don't find them in time, it'll re-hide all the plushies again, forcing you to find them all in pretty much one go. Again, it's not the worst, but can easily get out of control on later nights when you start to only focus on certain cameras while it has the large plushie counter. So I'm going to give it a C tier. Noelle is another very interesting character that easily has the chance to be forgotten about. When you start the night, a pair of scissors will appear on a random camera. At complete random, Noelle can appear in the office with a sound cue. When it does, you need to find the scissors and click them to make it go away. The scissors will then teleport to another random camera. If you don't click the scissors, it'll force you to put the mask on for a few seconds, which is a long time in this game. Noelle, of course, has 3 penalties. Pull down will make it forcefully pull down the camera when it enters your office, which could honestly be seen as a good thing. Bro, that's not okay. I fucked myself. Having the force pull down from Noelle mixed with the Roby absolutely fucking creamed my ass, dude. Aggressive Noelle is terrible. When it enters your office, if you click any camera aside from the one with the scissors, it will immediately make you put the mask on. And Crazed Teddy will cause it to insta-kill you instead of putting the mask on. A certain item does affect Noelle, however. If you have Chill Pill, you will get 4 additional seconds to put the mask on when it attacks you, which is a lot of time in this game. I'm not a huge fan of Noelle, especially not when it has Aggressive on, so because of this, I'm going to put it in C tier. Melatonin is a real bitch of a character. It moves around the cameras, but it's invisible when it does. You'll hear it laughing in one of your ears, and on the 3rd laugh, you'll have to close the door of whichever side it's on until you hear it leave. It has 2 penalties that just serve as the salt in the wound as well. Switch Up is easily the worst. Before it moves, you'll have to check the dining room to see a counter for how many laughs it'll have before attacking, now being randomized from 2 to 4. Unplanned only makes its first laugh on the correct side, needing you to remember which side it was originally on. I don't like characters that I can't see. I also find it really hard to keep a timer in your head like you need to do with Melatonin, so because of this, I'm putting it in D tier. Lydia is a dog. She'll be in the ticket booth in a fucking cage where she belongs. When you hear her banging on the cage, you'll have to take her out like Ol Yeller. Just kidding, you actually just have to hold the cage until that dumb mutt shuts up. The wiki, for some reason, doesn't have a page for her, and since I avoided her at all costs, I actually never experienced any of her penalties. But if I had to guess, I'd bet one of them makes you hold her cage for longer, and another makes her not make noise when she's attacking. But going off of how I know her to be with no penalties, I'm going to put her in C tier. Amber is a character that at first didn't seem too bad, but will very quickly become a run killer. She begins at the entrance. At random times, she'll hold up a playing card with a suit on it. You will then have to click the corresponding suit on the cameras or she'll kill you. The 2 penalties she has might actually be the most evil ones in the entire game. Follow Suit will give her the ability to have more than 1 card, and 52 Pickup will make that number of cards she can hold literally be any number, which is so retarded I can't even begin to explain why you shouldn't pick this, so just don't. I thought Amber would be great, but I very quickly started to avoid her whenever I could. C tier. CG is annoying, a nuisance character, but not very hard to deal with unless you get unlucky. She will randomly move around the cameras, and if you look at her on the cameras for too long, she'll make you put the mask on for a really, really long time. Her penalties aren't really the worst, however. Aggressive CG will make you put the mask on for longer, and Insta CG will make her enter your office if you look at her, period, even if only for a fraction of a second. However, a monitor is added to your office showing exactly where she is at all times so that you can easily avoid her. There are much worse nuisance characters, and if you don't have any of her penalties, she really isn't a problem. B tier. Dsam, I'm gonna say Sam, is a character I never once chose throughout my playthrough. You may think that makes me a bad reviewer, but I personally think that makes me someone who values not killing myself. Sam will slowly walk back and forth in front of your window with some sound cues. Before he gets to a door, you will have to close it, making him a character you pretty much always have to be watching. He has 2 penalties. Quiet Sam removes his sound cues, and Invisisam forces you to only use his sound cues. So pick your poison, dumbass, or even better, just don't pick this character. D tier. Roby is torture. I thought he wouldn't be so bad, and let's just say I wasn't so right. He sits in your office with a timer on his eye. When it reaches 0, you must have your mask on or you will die. He has 2 penalties that are all equally terrible. Mute Roby removes the sound cue he makes right before waking up. Awoken Roby makes him stay awake longer, forcing you to put the mask on longer. I'm dead serious. Don't pick this character. He is horrific. F tier. Alexis is simple, but very easy to forget about, especially on later nights. She will randomly wander around the cameras. If you pull the camera down while on the camera she's at, she'll make you put the mask on for a really long time. So you'll have to switch cameras before pulling them down. She also has 3 penalties. Aggressive Alexis makes her act like CG, where looking at her for too long will also make her attack you. Sneaky Ghost will only make her appear on a camera after you look at it for a second, and Crazed Ghost will insta-kill you instead of making you put the mask on. If you are diligent and aren't an idiot, Alexis is not an issue. But because of how fast you'll be switching through cameras on later nights, I can't give her any higher than a B tier. Onion is another character I never choose. When you pull up the cameras, there's a chance he'll be on them and quickly run left or right. You will have to close the corresponding door. If you close both, he'll drain a bunch of power. Again, for some reason he doesn't have a wiki page, so I don't know what his penalties are, but just knowing what he does, I'm going to put him in C tier. T Generic is a very annoying character who I only choose if every other character was ass. He will be in the entrance with an arrow on his face. Once he leaves the entrance, he will go to whichever vent he was pointing to, and you'll have to stare at him in that vent until he goes away. If he gets into your office, you'll have to put the mask on for a very long time. He has 3 penalties that somehow make him even more annoying. Crazed Robot will make him insta-kill you instead of putting the mask on. How About I Do Anyway will make him enter your office regardless of if you looked at him in the vents or not. However, if you did look at him, you'll have to put the mask on for a shorter amount of time. And Glitched will make T Generic sometimes switch what vent he's going to, making his arrows completely useless. He's a character that breaks the rules and that breaks my balls. D tier. Kaiden acts in much the same way as T Generic. He'll start in the entrance holding a sign with an arrow pointing left or right. Once he leaves with a sound cue, you'll have to close whichever door he was pointing to. He of course has penalties that make him silent and make him go in the opposite direction the sign was pointing to. I've actually picked Kaiden multiple times because if you can avoid his annoying penalties, he's an incredibly easy character to deal with, since you can close both doors when you hear his sound cue for about 2 seconds and not have any additional penalties. A tier. The ink monstrosity is always an immediate pick for me. It starts in your office on the ceiling and slowly creeps down. Hold your flashlight on it to force it back up. The best part is it'll basically teleport all the way back up when you flash the light on him, but that's where his penalties come into play. Stubborn will make you have to hold your light on him, removing the loveliness of this character, but overall still isn't too bad. Head Start will make the ink monstrosity start halfway down in your office and won't be able to go all the way back up to the top. Easily the worst penalty this character has. I love this character, always an immediate choice for me. S tier. Robo Popcakes is a character I initially avoided, but eventually grew to really like picking. At random, he'll spawn on your cameras. Not a specific one, he'll just be an overlay. You will have to match up 2 patterns using the arrows on the overlay, and once you do, he'll disappear. If you don't do it in time, you'll die. This character is always one I liked choosing because of how likely I am to pick characters like Bonnie and Chica, because while I stare at them on the cameras, I can deal with RoboCake, killing 2 birds with 1 stone. He has 2 penalties. X = X minus 2 gives you 2 less seconds to align his face, and pop time will only cause time to progress when you complete a Robo Popcakes attack. Overall, even with max penalties, Robo Popcakes isn't a terrible character. A tier. Entity 12 is pure masochism. They'll start in the storage or maintenance and move down your hall. Watch them on the cameras to make it go back. If they get to your office, they'll make you put the mask on for a long ass time. And get this, the 2 penalties they add doesn't make it any better. Aggressive Entity 12 will make you put the mask on for the rest of the fucking night if it gets into your office. And Run Killer will literally start with it inside of your office and it will never leave. Literally fuck that, fuck this character, F tier. Mura is a character I'd highly recommend not picking if you have other characters that don't want you spamming through cameras, because you will have to be doing that a lot with Mira. Mira will be in the kitchen the entire night and will require you to feed her candy. If you don't feed her enough, you'll die. Candy will randomly spawn throughout the cameras, so you'll have to surf through them to click on them. The penalties she adds are brutal. Savory Tooth makes candy spawn less. Small Plate puts a small cap on the amount of candies you can hold at a time. And Sweet and Sour adds sour candies that will remove a candy from your candy counter if you click on them. So if you've been working your muscle memory this whole time and get this penalty, have fun clicking on every single sour one all the time. I'm not a fan of the camera surfing this character brings, and I'd much rather prefer to just ignore picking her. D tier. The Ringmaster is an interesting character. He'll randomly spawn on your cameras. When you see him, you'll have to flip the camera down and greet him in your office. If you switch cameras, he'll make you put the mask on for a long time. Crazed Magician is a penalty that will make clicking off of his camera just instantly kill you. And Masked Magician will make flipping down the camera always make you put the mask on, but for less time than usual. I don't love picking Ringmaster, but I will usually end up choosing him later in a run. B tier. The entity is someone who gives me AIDS. They will randomly spawn on your cameras in 3 locations, except only one of them is actually real. You'll be able to tell because the fakes will be more transparent. Again, for some reason their wiki isn't available, and I never actually chose any of their penalties, so I'm not totally sure what they are. But I hate find them on the camera characters. You guys know that. D tier. No VA is a character I only dealt with once, acting as probably the most nuisance characters of all the nuisance characters. No VA will randomly move around your cameras. You will have to avoid clicking on the camera it's on, or you'll have to put on the mask. On lower AI levels, the camera it's on will be marked with green, making it very easy to see. As the AI goes up, it'll get harder and harder, eventually becoming fucking invisible. And let me tell you, the penalties make it even worse, as I'm sure you could have guessed. Malware makes clicking on no VA's camera kill you instantly. Spamware makes no VA on multiple cameras at a time, and adware creates an adware window on your cameras. If you don't close it fast enough, it will force you to look at no VA's camera. I actually think this character is really cool, and I think that its penalties are actually super interesting. Aside from malware, that one is AIDS. I still don't love picking this character though, because I hate mask characters. So because of this, I'm giving no VA C tier. Moldy is a character that is a really good pick for early game, but late game will easily become a character you will forget about. Whenever you pull down your camera, there's a chance he'll be in your office. If he is, you'll have to hold your light on him for a while, or you'll have to put the mask on. He has 2 penalties. Aggressive Moldy will make you have to shine your light on him for longer, and Crazed Mold will make pulling up the camera while he's in your room instantly kill you. Again, early game, he's amazing, but you will very quickly forget about him once more characters start to get added. So because of this, I'm giving him B tier. Rita Rabbit is thick, but that's not important. What is how she works. She sits on her fat ass in the arcade slowly attempting to leave. All you have to do is hold the flashlight on her to make her go away. Honestly, not that bad of a character if you pair her with other arcade characters, which there is a decent amount of. She has 2 penalties. Aggressive Rita will make you hold your flashlight on her longer, and Cheeky Rabbit will make her move faster the longer you're not looking at her camera. If you know how to stack her with other characters properly, Rita shouldn't be a problem even if you have her penalties. A tier. Coral is another character that I love seeing as an option to pick. Coral will randomly appear at either of your doors with no sound cue, so you'll have to make sure you're paying attention. Simply close the door he's at and he'll knock, letting you know he's left. He has 2 different penalties. Blinding will make you additionally hold the flashlight on him for a while, and making sure will force you to have your camera down while the door is closed in order for him to leave. I love this character, he's super easy to deal with, S tier. Shrimp is another character that just makes me giddy with joy whenever I see her. Shrimp will occasionally spawn some shrimp food in your office on either side. Whichever side it's on is the side you have to close the door of until the shrimp food disappears. The 2 penalties she adds are easily some of the best to deal with. Big Shrimpin' is a penalty that will cause the shrimp food to have the chance to be really big. If it's really big, you just have to close both doors. And Small Shrimpin' gives the food the chance to have the lid off. If it is, all you have to do is close the door to the opposite side of the food. Shrimp is incredibly easy to deal with, she's satisfying to deal with, and she doesn't use the fucking cameras, which I love. Easy S tier. Worm is the next character we have to talk about, and I avoided this guy like the plague. I was very scared of how it was going to work, so I never actually ended up using it. Worm will start in the dining room and go down your right hall and will stay there until you open the door. When you open the door, it'll crawl through your office. Avoid looking at it either by using the mask or looking at the cameras until it leaves. It also has 2 penalties. Snail makes it move across the office slower, and Digger will make Worm add another bar of power usage while it's at your door. Worm just seems like a character that would completely disrupt the flow of the night, and because of that, I'm putting it in D tier. Kyle and Bob are the 2 next assholes I want to talk about, and these guys are weird, and also really shitty and confusing, and I don't fully understand them. Kyle and Bob are 2 separate animatronics, but they work in tandem. Both of them are vent characters. If Kyle, the yellow one, enters your vent, you have to look at him on the camera or he will enter your office and make you use the mask. If Bob is in your vent, you can't look at him on the cameras or he'll enter your office and make you use the mask. The only problem is, I was never able to figure out how to tell which one entered the vent. At first, I thought maybe they'd alternate and I'd have to remember, but then during one run, Kyle attacked twice in a row. So I'm thinking there has to be something I'm misunderstanding about these two. Of course, they each have 2 penalties. Crazed Sun makes them instantly kill you if they enter your office, and Eclipsed will make one of them invisible while the other is in the vent. I tried to like these guys, but because I'm retarded and can't fully figure them out, they were never for me. D tier. Magi is a pretty interesting character. He will consistently walk back and forth in front of your window. At random, he will make a sound cue letting you know he's about to attack.
Come on, go, go.
When he does, you have to close the door to the side he's on, leading to you needing to keep track and remember which side he's on at all times. This isn't too bad for someone like me who tries to be able to stay in the office as much as possible. Magi has 3 penalties. Reach around will change the way his sound cues work. If he says
surprise
or
you won't see this one coming,
you will then need to close the door to the opposite side he's on. This can be confusing for obvious reasons. Do It Myself is a penalty that will make Magi attack the opposite door whenever you deal with his puppet the first time. And Invisimagi makes him fucking invisible, as I'm sure you could have guessed. Magi is not my favorite, but I have no problem picking him later in the run when things are getting tight. B tier. Mallory, on the other hand, is torture. She stays in the ticket booth. At random, she will hold up any amount of fingers on one hand. You will then have to flash her with the flashlight that many times. If you flash her too many times or not enough, she will dash at your door 15 times. This is AIDS. And I can't even lie, 15 times? Why so many? Seems a bit overkill, don't you think? But let's talk about her penalties, which she has 3 of. Ambidextrous will make her be able to show you up to 8 fingers. DoorDash will make her charge 20 fucking times instead of 15. And DoorDash EX makes her charge your doors for the entire night. Easily one of the most bullshit characters when you have her penalties on, but if you can avoid choosing them, she's only really ass because her hand is conveniently behind the fucking camera map. D tier. Roy is one of the only camera animatronics I can actually stomach. He starts in the dining room and slowly makes his way to your office. You can lure him to a previous camera by holding your flashlight on them. Since he's a moth, he's attracted to the light. He only has 1 penalty, Aggressive Roy, which will just make you have to hold the light for longer to get him to move. Overall, very solid character, and not too annoying to handle until his AI value gets really high. A tier. Silly is kinda silly. Fuck, editor, cut that out. Silly is my favorite vent animatronic. He moves around the cameras, who gives a fuck? Eventually, he'll enter one of your vents. When he does, all you have to do is hold the flashlight on him before he enters your office and eats your butt. He also only has 1 penalty, Aggressive Silly, which makes you hold the flashlight on him for longer. Very simple character, he makes sound cues, I like sound cues, S tier. Next up, we've got Bop. She's an interesting, ADHD-riddled little fuck. When you pull down the camera, there's a chance she'll be standing in your window. She will then dash towards either of your doors. Simply close that door before she gets to it. She has 3 penalties. Layered Square will make Bop charge your doors multiple times. Bop Spawn will cause Bop to be able to spawn at your window even if the camera is down, and Force Down will make Bop force your camera down if it is up. A character that requires quick reaction time, and when more characters get added can be easily missed. E tier. Venus is a fucking plant. Oh, you wanna know what they do? Sure, that's fair enough. Venus will sit in the kitchen the entire night like your mom in the middle of the night looking for more food, even though she ate 65% of dinner that night. Throughout the night, bunnies will spawn in your room and you'll have to click on them to collect them. You then feed these bunnies to Venus in the kitchen camera. Very fucked up, Venus. These bunnies are cute. Venus has a hefty 4 different penalties, actually being one of the highest in the game. Wabbit hunting will make the bunnies in your office jump around, making them harder to click. Except they're still not hard to click, so it's not that bad. Depopulation will make the bunnies spawn less frequently. Wanderer will make Venus randomly move around your cameras instead of camping the kitchen. And Mako will add Venus's friend Mako into your office. If you click on him, you'll die. Venus is very fun to play with. Their mechanic is satisfying, clicking on the bunnies is fun, and even most of their penalties aren't too bad. S tier. Cyrex is the next character we need to talk about, and I absolutely hate her. She starts in the ticket booth and slowly makes her way to your office. Before she gets to your office, you'll have to go to the ticket booth camera and call her to your office manually and then put the mask on. If she gets to your office by herself, I'm assuming you can guess what happens. And if you couldn't have already guessed, her penalties aren't much better. Rising aggression makes her make you put the mask on longer the longer you take to call her to your office. And call tracker will randomize the camera the call button is on every time you use it. This character is Torment. This character is Anguish, F tier. Next we have Ellie, another character so potently AIDS I fear even talking about her. Her goal is to chew the wires in the storage room to cut your power. You will have to watch for her in either hall. When she's in one, you must make sure the door on that side is open and shake a box of snacks on that side of the office to lure her inside of the office. She will leave shortly thereafter. If your office door isn't open when you lure her, she will bang on the door and drain your power. She also has 3 penalties if this didn't already sound terrible enough. Shaker will force you to shake the bag of treats longer. Power Chomper will make Ellie drain more power when she bangs on your door, and Wind Skip will make her able to teleport from one hall to another without ever appearing in your window like she usually does. I don't think I have to explain why this character is awful to deal with. The rules that go along with her are far more complicated than any other character, F tier. The next character we have to begrudgingly talk about is Ammo. Ammo starts in the dining room and will slowly wander to your right door. Each camera he travels through will have an eject button with 2 power. Before Ammo reaches your office, you must press the eject button on any camera that has the eject power, which will then send him back to the dining room. Once a camera is out of power, there's no way to get it back. If this wasn't terrible sounding enough, you haven't even heard of his 3 penalties yet. Quiet Ammo will remove his sound cue when he moves. Single Take only allows each room to have 1 eject power instead of 2, and Demon adds Ammo's friend, Demon, who will randomly move around the ejectable cameras. If you eject a camera Demon is on, you will die. I hate this character. Dealing with him can be bad on higher AI values, but since he's nowhere near as bad as some of the other characters in this game, I'm putting him in D tier. And here we are, 29 pages into my script later, and we can talk about the final animatronic in this game, Swagman. Swagman has a pretty interesting mechanic I've actually never seen before. He will randomly wander around the cameras. You will have to stare at him to fill his swag meter up. If it goes all the way down, he will make you put the mask on for a long ass time. However, this mechanic isn't as bad as I'd usually say it is, because you can easily tell which camera Swagman is on because he lights it up. So, what about his 3 penalties? Well, Swagalicious makes him move from camera to camera faster, which can get annoying. Endless Swag will force you to put the mask on for the rest of the night if Swagman gets in, and Eye on the Swag will make Swagman's meter go up slower than usual. Overall, not a bad character, and no penalty that removes the ability to see what camera he's on. C tier. And there we go! That's every single character in Too Many Nights. I love how many there are. It leads to such a new and interesting experience every time you play, and I love it. But now I'd like to mention the general penalties that aren't specific to any character, as there are a few of those as well. Generally, from what I've noticed, it's much smarter to pick the general penalties over the character penalties, as it will be much more likely that they will be easier to deal with. Overtime will make each hour of the night last 2 seconds longer, and you can actually have 2 overtime penalties active at a time. Less power will, as the name suggests, make you start each night with less power, 10% to be exact, and you can have 3 of these penalties. Less room is a penalty that will give you 1 less option when selecting animatronics, and you can have 2 of them. All-Star will make the next enemy you add start at max AI value. Stranger Danger will add a random character you don't already have at a very low AI value, and Midnight Motivation will make all characters' AI value increase at 3 AM. All-Star, Stranger Danger, and Midnight Motivation are probably going to be penalties you always want to avoid, but I personally don't think the other characters are that bad. Next up, I'd like to talk about the characters that you can unlock to play as, because if you remember, each character has different pros and cons for you to choose from. To start, each character has a different amount of lives they'll start you with. Getting jump scared by an animatronic will cause you to lose one of these lives, giving you multiple opportunities if you mess up. And of course, I'll be putting these guys on a tier list as well. The first character you will have by default is Michael. He gives you 3 hearts and has no abilities. He's as basic can get, really. D tier. You also, by default, have 3 other much more interesting characters. The first being Elizabeth. She gives you 4 hearts and forces the enemies to have their AI values increase slower. But as a con, you'll receive half the amount of coins you'd usually get. The low AI value honestly makes her pretty valuable, but of course, never being able to buy anything is never fun. C tier. Evan is the next auto-unlocked character. He gives you 3 hearts, makes all enemies start on a higher AI value, but to compensate, nets you 1.5x more coins, which will be nice for when we talk about shops later in the video. High AI values are never super great, especially if you're dogshit at FNAF games like I am, but overall, he is nowhere near the worst character to choose. C tier. Cassidy is the last character you'll unlock by default. She only gives you 1 heart and makes every single enemy start at maximum aggression, and forces you to pick a penalty every single night. She also will never allow you to see shops. Instead, you can use your money to remove penalties and animatronics. I don't care that you can remove things. Having to pick a penalty every night whilst also only having 1 heart is pure AIDS. F tier. Henry is the first character on the list to unlock. However, you can unlock them in pretty much any order you want. Henry is unlocked by beating at least 1 night while using Michael, Elizabeth, Evan, and Cassidy. Something that should be very easy to pull off. He gives you 3 hearts and gives you way more options when picking enemies, penalties, and shop items. However, you will be forced to pick more enemies and more penalties. The last thing you're going to want to do is give yourself more threats. So even though your option pool is bigger, the cons outweigh the pros here a lot. D tier. Gabriel can be unlocked by having 2 penalties active in a run that affect Freddy. He gives you 3 hearts, gives you a guaranteed shop every single night. But as a downside, each character comes with a few of their penalties already added. I'm sure you know what I'm going to say, and a lot of character-specific penalties are horrific. Sure, you may never have to pick a penalty after beating a night, but I really don't care about that as much as getting butt-fucked by character penalties. F tier. Jeremy can be unlocked by getting a power outage on night 3 and beyond and still surviving the night. Generally one of the harder characters to unlock. He gives you 5 hearts. You start the run with 500% power instead of 100%. The nights are shorter than usual, but as a downside, your power carries over from night to night. But don't let that fool you. 500% power is a lot of fucking power, and if you're good at enemy building, you can easily make that last a long time. And 5 hearts is a fuck ton. Easy A tier character. Susie will be unlocked if you die to Chica twice in a single night and then beat that night. She gives 3 hearts. Each enemy starts at max AI value, but you gain 1 life after you beat a night. Now, at first glance, this may sound really bad, but I actually had my second best run ever using Susie, and it's 100% because of that life gain. With characters always on max difficulty, there's no way for them to get harder, so you'll get used to them at their hardest difficulty pretty quickly. Sure, she's not the best, but she definitely isn't as bad as she sounds. B tier. Fritz is unlocked by having 100 or more coins at one time in a single run. He gives you 2 hearts, and your lives are attached to the number of coins you have. To be specific, for every 50 coins you have, that equals 1 heart. Overall, this character is more confusing than it will ever be useful, actively discouraging you from ever buying anything. You're better off just using Michael, as there's no real downside. D tier. Fitzgerald is unlocked by beating night 5 in a run whilst only picking the leftmost enemies and penalties. I actually struggled a bit unlocking this character, so what does he do? Well, you start with 3 hearts, and each enemy and penalty are randomized each night, meaning the 3 enemies you pick on night 1 will be different on night 2, and you can also pay to reroll, as well as getting a shop every single night. This character really just serves as what I'm going to call a challenge character. You would never actually want to bring this character into a legitimate run, and because of that, I'm giving him an F tier. Sally is easily the most unique character out of all of the normal ones, and I'll explain what normal means in a bit. You unlock her by beating a night with both Percy Poodle and Rowan Rat on max AI values. Sally introduces a brand new mechanic, that being the pup pal from Playtime with Percy. It works in the exact same way as in that game, and the best part, your progress on the night is tied to it. No more waiting out the night. You will have to complete the games on the pup pal for the night to end. Again, this goes to serve as more of a challenge character than anything else, as playing Sally will by default make the game much, much harder. And because of this, I'm giving her F tier. Again, not because she's not a fun character, but because if you're trying to get far in a run, she's not the character for you. And finally, we have the man himself, Scott Cawthon, who is unlocked by completing Night 3 with every other character in the game. And of course, since he's the final character, he has the most interesting mechanic. He himself doesn't have any abilities, instead letting you pick the pros and cons from every other character in the game, allowing you to mix and match your favorite pieces from other characters. You don't need me to tell you that Scott is a broken character. I'm pretty sure you can figure that out. Easy S tier. And boom, that's every single playable character in Too Many Nights. So now we can start talking about the items that can be bought in the shop. I won't be going over each and every one since there are literally a fuck ton to talk about, and this video is already long enough. But I do want to talk about some of the best ones to look out for. Early Out is an item that will make each night 2 seconds shorter. More Power will start each night with 10% more power. More Room will give you more options when picking animatronics. The Empress will give you 1 life and give you more options when picking animatronics. The Emperor will decrease every animatronic's AI value by 2. The Chariot will have you start each night with 15% more power. The Hanged Man will remove 2 random penalties you have activated. Death removes a random enemy. The Moon makes each hour 3 seconds shorter. Fritz Children's Bible will make items you can't afford never show up in shops, and Sparked will make sparks appear randomly on cameras, and touching them will increase your power. Those are all of the yummy mashed potatoes in my belly items that I like to look out for in the shop. Again, there are a lot more, but I think it would just be really boring to go over all of them. But there you go. That's everything you need to know, and as far as I'm aware, everything that Too Many Nights has to offer. I would highly recommend you give this game a try. It is some of the most fun I've ever had since starting this channel, and I actually plan on doing some Too Many Nights streams here on this channel. If that's something you're interested, let me know. Also, if you were interested, Too Many Nights is actually getting a version 2.1, and it's being worked on as I'm writing this. I'm super excited to see what it has to offer once it's fully released. This game is so incredibly unique and combines 2 of my favorite game genres of all time into one amazing game. The art style is unique, the community input is fantastic, and of course, the gameplay and gameplay loop are impeccable. But let me know what you think. Do you agree with me, or were you just completely uninterested in a game like this? Let me know in the comments below. In my FNAF 1 remake video, I asked you guys if there was a series you'd like to see me revisit, and my favorite comment was this one by I don't know who this is. They said they want to see me cover Jolly again, and that's probably the funniest thing I've ever heard, because there's no way I will ever touch that game again in a million fucking years. Maybe I'll take a look at Jolly Bees sometime in the future though. Let me know if that's something you'd be interested in the comments below. The question of this video is, who is your favorite character to play in Too Many Nights and why? With the question of the video being asked, subscribe to the channel, I'd appreciate it a lot. Thank you to every single one of my super fan members on this channel. I've been Dxtr, and I'll see you guys in the next video. See ya!